The boy with a somewhat cunning face is our main character, Isaac, just 3 seconds ago. He had consumed a whole bunch of bottles filled with poison but felt absolutely nothing. In fact, it even granted him a powerful source of energy, all of which speaks to his special identity. A born saint, to be clearer, Isaac was not originally from this world. He was just an ordinary office worker on Earth named Kim Isaac. However, during a chance visit to the doctor for a checkup, due to some symptoms he had been experiencing recently. Unexpectedly, our main character received shocking news that even left the doctor stunned. This was an illness that had never been discovered before. Therefore, this disease will be named after you. I'm sorry, but you only have a maximum of 6 months to live. The doctor's voice was filled with regret for a young, passionate man who had to leave this world so soon. The luckiest thing might be that Isaac's name would be given to this deadly disease. But that also meant it was no different from a death notice for him, a disease that even the doctor didn't know what the hell it was. How could it possibly be cured? After hearing this news, Isaac stood in a daze, clutching the medical report in his hand. His body felt like a lost soul among the bustling crowd on the street. Even if he bumped into someone, Isaac didn't care at all. His face showed extreme confusion. Countless thoughts began to swirl in his mind. How could he have worked so hard? Moreover, he had just stabilized his life. And now he was about to die. Isaac asked himself a question, unaware that while he was still lost in thought, a car was speeding towards him from afar. A kind-hearted person saw Isaac looking like a lost soul. Noticing the oncoming vehicle, they quickly pushed him from behind and warned him to move. Do you know how dangerous that is? The shove was somewhat strong, causing Isaac to stumble forward. He put both hands out to brace himself against the ground to avoid falling completely. And at that moment, a piece of paper fell out of his jacket pocket. Looking at this piece of paper, Isaac felt even more unfortunate. It seemed that this very paper had taken away all his luck, or was it a death sentence? Why is my life so unfair? And on the very day I won the lottery too. I still want to live. I'm not ready to die yet. I will be satisfied with everything I have. So please, please don't let me die. Isaac looked up at the sky and shouted loudly, his eyes filled with tears, lamenting his fate, which was quite understandable. After all, a person who had worked like a dog to earn money now had the chance to win the lottery, yet received news that he would perish in 6 months. No one could remain calm. And as a result, no truck appeared to help him reincarnate. 6 months later, Isaac officially logged out of the Earth server. However, this was not the end. Somehow, Isaac woke up in the body of a tiny skeleton in another world. Looking at his current body, Isaac began to lament his fate, although he did say that. But that doesn't mean I want to live in this state. Do I really have to reincarnate as a bald skeleton? I can't even pee or poop in this body, Isaac screamed in his head. At that moment, he was standing in some castle. The sky above him was blood red, and around him were countless monsters, flying everywhere. Some monsters, oblivious to life or death, charged at the main character from behind at breakneck speed. Seeing this, Isaac gripped the great sword in his hand and spun around. He unleashed a flurry of swift sword strikes, slicing the monsters to pieces. Each powerful strike seemed to unleash his anger upon them. He told himself that he would wipe out all these monsters. Then, right after finishing off the tiny monsters in front of him, he heard heavy footsteps approaching quickly from afar. Isaac turned slightly to observe and discovered a giant. With a ferocious appearance, it swung its massive hand towards me, the impact so strong that the ground shook upon collision. However, our protagonist remained agile. Just in time, he jumped into the air to dodge the blow, and the large monster in front of him was the final target of Isaac in this attack. Finally, this damn thing would end and die. As he spoke, the protagonist enveloped the sword in his hand with a blazing fire. Then his body shot towards it like a lightning bolt, the powerful sword strike immediately slicing through the monster's neck, causing its head to separate from its body and fall straight down. Witnessing this scene, Jack let out a sigh of relief, knowing that the suppression of the rebel forces had been completed. After reincarnation, I had become the lowest level monster, a skeleton, and then evolved into a Lich King. I resurrected the demon bandits, those who had nearly been wiped out over the centuries, Isaac thought as he observed the surroundings where countless monsters were looking at him. They raised their hands excitedly to celebrate their Demon King's victory, all chanting loudly, Demon King, immortal. Looking at his subordinates, he patted them on the back, flattering them so well. The white withered skull of Jack also turned a bit rosy. Yes, I may be bald, but now I am a Demon King, he proudly thought to himself before hearing the next words from his subordinates. Isaac, our king. His name reflects his cunning and wicked nature. They said, gazing at the protagonist with utmost reverence, of course. A person who had undergone 12 years of education like Isaac could hardly accept such words. Immediately he realized that his dazed subordinates had misread his name. His name was Isaac, while they pronounced it as Isa AK. Actually, the pronunciation was quite similar, but Isaac still couldn't accept this. I've told you so many times my name is Isaac. How many more times do you want me to say this? It's Kim Isaac. You bastards. After saying this, he sighed and mocked himself. Well, these fools can't even read my name correctly. I guess I'll just take care of myself. Now I have to go collect my reward. My ultimate goal is to eat, relieve myself, and become human again, Isaac whispered to himself, endlessly hoping for time to pass, quickly transitioning to a luxurious temple. Above, there were a few people dressed like nobles, while Isaac brought the skull of the large monster he had defeated before these people, shocking them immensely. Ignoring their attitudes, Isaac began to speak. I have eliminated those who opposed you. Our agreement is still valid, right? His words made those inside the hall pause for a few seconds in astonishment. Then numerous whispers began to arise. You have wiped them all out. I thought it would take you at least 500 years. It's truly insane. I heard that all the high-ranking nobles formed a group to force him to work for free until he was exhausted. Isaac's ears were not deaf, so he could clearly hear these words. Therefore, he immediately reminded them, I can hear everything you know. Why are you talking so much? Didn't you say that if I defeated them all, you would turn me into a human? We have followed your words. In response to his words, a cunning-looking blonde man also spoke up. That's all well and good. Can you do one more thing? He said with an extremely fake smile, igniting an invisible flame of anger within the protagonist. He was not foolish. He had already seen through the intentions of these hypocrites before him. However, in order to return to being human once again, Jack gritted his teeth and agreed to work with them. Yet until now, these people seemed to want to drain him completely. And they had no intention of fulfilling their promise. This made Isaac reach his limit of endurance. Even if I am a skeleton, you should know your limits. What the hell gives you the right to make me your slave? Even if you are divine, I don't fear any of you. Isaac gritted his teeth, his eyes beginning to blaze with literal flames of anger. To teach these deities before him a lesson, Isaac unleashed an overwhelming force, causing numerous cracks to appear on the floor. You bastards keep making me work hard. While I don't know how to turn myself into a proper person. This statement made a girl with green hair flinch and turn to whisper to the blonde next to her. It seems he has realized something. In response, the slightly hesitant voice of the blonde said, Didn't I tell you from the beginning not to use him? Why do we have to negotiate with a madman like him? Before they could say another word, our protagonist shouted loudly, causing the entire crowd to fall silent. Do you all only know how to talk like that? Besides the forbidden summoning spells, you can't create or destroy anything, can you? Being a spirit means I can no longer live in the true sense. If you cannot turn me, a being that threatens the existence of the heavenly realm, into a person, then Isaac's aura is becoming stronger and stronger, like a bomb that could explode at any moment. Seeing this, the gods surrounding me could no longer remain calm. They hurriedly spoke up to reassure the protagonist. Wait, give us more time. If you agree to do a few more tasks for us, we can't deny that even at this moment. The gods were still trying to squeeze the last value out of the protagonist. Their words had completely severed any possibility of negotiation between the two sides. Isaac began to look at them with a sharp gaze. And declared to pay for breaking your promise, I will take your lives. I will turn you into dry skeletons like me, ha ha ha. The main character laughed loudly and raised both hands to the sky, as if preparing to perform some kind of magic. The energy emanating from him was so intense that the gods surrounding him began to feel breathless. However, after all gods are still gods, how could they easily be? Tied up and helpless like this, the energy in Isaac's palms hadn't even gathered for a few seconds, when suddenly it extinguished like a flame doused with cold water, causing the smile on Isaac's face to vanish as well. What is this? Why did my magic disappear? Why can't I move? Isaac said in a daze, while trying to control himself, but it had no effect at all. And to answer his question, an orange-haired man stepped forward to explain, It's useless. Anyone, whose name I write here, will not be able to move. As he spoke, he opened his palm to reveal a bug engraved with the name YZAAK on it, and at that moment, all the gods began to stand behind this man. And they began to pass judgment on the protagonist. This high-level relic was used to seal disasters like you. How dare a mere demon like you do such things? You should feel grateful to be our pawn. Now live a life of a worm, hearing. This, Jack's skull turned red with anger, trembling with rage. Can't you choose a worm with more hair? Isaac replied irritably. Upon hearing this, the orange-haired man shook his head in mockery. Are you still obsessed with hair like that? This stupid demon, as soon as his words finished, the bug in his hand emitted a blinding light. Revealing his astonished face, he quickly turned to look at Isaac. It was as if he had guessed something, and what he saw was only the smug smile from the protagonist. You fools, if you want to do that, then you should do it quickly before I find out. I would rather commit suicide than turn into a worm. You all go eat shit like that. With this farewell, Isaac's entire body erupted with a terrifying energy, turning him into a living bomb. The explosion was so strong that it nearly shattered the hall. Fortunately, the observers around were all gods, so they only struggled a bit. No one had to go sell salt with the protagonist that madman had committed suicide, right? He really is insane, the group exclaimed in fear on the other side. The blonde god hurriedly ran to the red-haired god and asked the ritual went normally right. Went. His voice was filled with worry. Meanwhile, the red-haired god looked at the bug trembling before him and confidently stated, since the ritual has been performed, the Demon King's soul must have been sealed. Hearing that, the people around breathed a sigh of relief, as if they had received a mental boost, thinking it would be great since the Demon King had been defeated, so we would regain our strength, right? That's not true. Every time the Demon King disappears, we don't always gain strength. In response to their words, the blonde guy warned the group not to let their guard down. It's still too early to relax. We don't know when the next disaster will strike. We must create a perfect vessel for a saint in the human world and eradicate the demons. The red-haired guy also spoke up, asking the blonde guy, is he okay? Because the blonde guy seemed to have used quite a bit of power. The blonde guy just waved his hand, saying, there's no need to worry. What we need to do is find a soul to place into the saint's body. As for that arrogant, dried-up demon king, he will be forever imprisoned in this worm. People will make him realize his mistakes. He said this with a smile that was no different from a villain, but they had no idea that the soul of our protagonist had not been trapped inside that bug. Returning to Isaac's thoughts, he found himself surrounded by endless darkness. He reminded himself to stay calm. He had to calm down. I can't believe I was tricked by those goddamn beings. Have I really become some stupid skeleton? Forget it. Why am I tied up like this? Who would have thought that I would turn into a worm, not even having hands to cover myself? Wait, what is this soft, warm thing? Wait, do I have hands? This is a human body. Have I really become a person? Why would those who hate me more than anything do this? Don't tell me their seal has failed. Jack silently speculated in his heart before he was drawn to the voice of a maid beside him. Oh my, the saint has awakened. He was sleeping so well. Why did you wake up? She smiled, and beside her a male servant was preparing a bottle of milk, adding that it would be better if he slept a little longer. For Isaac, he seemed to have not yet adapted to this situation. Who are these people? Are they caretakers? Could it be that I really have become a person? Unbeknownst to him, these thoughts were in Isaac's heart, as the man in front of him had finished preparing the milk for him. However, the attitude of both of them seemed very strange, causing Isaac to feel an invisible unease in his heart he couldn't understand. But even though he didn't want to, we still have to complete our tasks. Saint, we apologize for waking you up just as you were resting, but we need you to sleep again. Wishing you eternal sleep, both servants spoke in a voice full of implications. On the opposite side, Jack was startled, thinking, no, I just died. Could it be that I have to die again now? The protagonist screamed in his heart. It seemed that his bad luck had not yet let go of him. Sorry, Saint, but now you must sleep eternally. The servant said with a cunning face, making Jack not need to think much to guess that these people were definitely plotting to harm him. Then the servant tightly grasped the milk bottle in his hand and stabbed it straight towards Isaac's mouth. But Isaac wasn't foolish and dodged it, so he immediately turned his face to the side and refused the poisoned milk, determined not to open his mouth even a little. This made the servant tremble, because he couldn't understand why he wouldn't drink. His voice was filled with confusion while Isaac silently cursed him in his heart. Are you crazy? It took me so long to return to being human. There's no way I would drink suspicious things like that. But why did I have to become a human in the first place? Isaac wondered in his heart, but very quickly he began to receive his answer through the words of the two servants. Why don't you act like a normal baby and drink? Then you can die. I mean, you can sleep well. Right, you Isaac? The name Isaac made Jack jump. He turned around quickly. Did that person just call me Isaac? Thinking of this, everything was connected. So instead of using my real name Isaac, they mistook my name for Isaac. I get it now. So that's why I wasn't sealed. I even reincarnated into a body with the same name as mine. Those fools act as if they are so great, yet they are careless and fail to seal themselves. Upon thinking of this, Isaac couldn't help but laugh at their negligence and stupidity. While he was laughing out loud, the servant named Nam seized the opportunity and shoved the bottle of milk straight into Isaac's mouth, causing him to nearly choke and struggle continuously. I don't know if it's because this body has something special, but even as just a newborn baby, Isaac still struggled so much that the young man had to ask the girl beside him for help, saying, why is this little baby so strong? Returning to Isaac's perspective, after all, he was still just a newborn baby. There was no way he could resist the strength coming from two grown adults. At this moment, Isaac's face turned purple. His body trembled and he complained about his bad luck, asking if this was vegetable juice. How disgusting are they trying to assassinate me with this vile mixture? It took me so long to return to being human. And moreover, there's something very unusual inside my body, Isaac thought to himself. At this moment, in a different scene, a transition to the Holy Kingdom Hyla. In the Middle Eastern temple area, an old man dressed like a bishop was calmly walking down the hallway. Then, as if he thought of something, this old man suddenly broke into a wicked smile and said to himself, now that child must be done for. Looking at my displeased face, someone said, you seem happy, Bishop. A serious voice echoed from the front. The owner of this voice was a blonde man dressed like a noble. With a very serious face, his demeanor made people feel that this was a character of extremely high status, and indeed, this person was the Emperor of the Holy Kingdom, Alexander Headcliff. Upon seeing the Emperor's appearance, the group of priests in front hurriedly bowed their heads in greeting. Greetings, son of the Empire. Hearing this, Alexander merely nodded and asked, what is a bishop doing here? In response to this question, the old bishop also put on a fake smile and explained that the Joshua family had come to send their regards to the saint candidate. After all, you know that the Holy See cannot ignore the saint. Over here, Alexander, after hearing this, had a mocking look in his eyes as if he guessed something. I see. Since this is related to the saint, you came to me directly. Right? If there were any incidents after handing over the saint to the Holy See, it would indeed be unfortunate. His tone was mocking without any intention of hiding it, causing the old bishop's face to wrinkle. Then he forced a smile. Ha ha, but what do you mean? Just as his words fell suddenly, a scream echoed through the hallway. Young master, young master. Upon hearing this scream, the old bishop broke into a cunning smile, as if he had achieved his goal. The whole group hurriedly ran to where the sound came from, which was the room where Ajax was resting. As soon as they pushed the door open, the Emperor Alexander hurriedly asked what happened inside the room. Countless servants were standing around observing, and upon hearing the question, one girl turned around excitedly and explained, the young master is so cute. Just look at that chubby belly, he is so adorable. He eats really well. He is indeed an angel. Following their gaze, Isaac was smiling joyfully and rubbing his little round belly, comfortably saying, look, he has already drunk all 15 bottles of this disgusting vegetable juice. Someone joyfully boasted. At this moment at the entrance, the old bishop, not knowing if it was due to old age and weakness causing him to walk slowly, or if he had already guessed Ajax's outcome. So now he was trudging along, but as soon as he arrived, he heard the conversation of the servants talking to each other and quickly interjected, looking at Isaac with eyes as if he were a monster. How is it possible that he's still alive and he drank all that milk? That's not just ordinary vegetable juice. The more he thought about it, the more twisted the old man's evil face became because the assassination had failed. His story must go back to a few minutes earlier when Isaac sensed something unusual inside his body. After feeling a bit of the liquid that had been introduced into his body, he realized what it was. Wait a minute, this is the saint-killing poison, a type of deadly toxin that destroys the holy power of the clergy. It may not take effect immediately, but since it's poison, if consumed in large enough quantities, it will kill. But I can turn this poison into demon mana, so it is truly a blessing for someone like me, a former demon king. I never expected they would give me a demon's gift. After feeling a bit of the liquid that was injected into his body, he realized what it was. Wait a minute, this is Holy Slayer, a type of deadly poison that annihilates the holy power of priests. It might not take effect immediately, but since it's a poison, if consumed in sufficient quantity, it will kill. However, I will turn this poison into mana of the demon race. Therefore, it is truly a gift from heaven for a former demon king like me. I never expected they would give me a demon race. Something that can be transformed into mana like that. Awesome. I will drink all of this magical food meant for babies. Thinking of this, Isaac quickly gulped down the entire bottle of milk and turned angrily to shout at the two cunning servants, "Give me everything you have left to drink." Naturally, the two servants wouldn't understand what Isaac was saying. The only thing they heard was Isaac shouting EA in anger, causing both of them to feel a bit confused, wondering if he was asking for more. Why do I suddenly feel like I understand what he's saying? Saying that the male servant hurriedly went to prepare another bottle of poisonous milk and happily fed it to Isaac. Of course, the more he drank, the happier we were. After all this poison, no, this vegetable juice wouldn't take effect immediately. On the opposite side, Isaac eagerly reached out to sip this heavenly gift, even giving a thumbs up to the hunting dog in front of him as a compliment. Wonderful, with this victory, I will absorb all this mana. I don't know who put this here, but you did well. Now what I need to do right now is leave the real world and enter my subconscious, then go to the deepest place there, the world of the source where the core mana is created. After all, I'm safe here, just like that. Jack began to immerse himself in the spiritual world. The scenery around him resembled a large lake, and Isaac had to hold his breath and swim down. As soon as he reached the bottom of the lake, Isaac began the task of recreating his mana core. Alright, now focus. I will condense the mana I have absorbed into the mana core. I will need a mana core to use magic, so if I want to cast spells in the future, I must do this. While thinking, Isaac began to gather energy within his body, forming a bright yellow sphere that looked like a miniature sun. However, suddenly, something might have gone wrong during the mana condensation process. The energy sphere became more violent and uncontrollable than ever. Looking at this, Isaac's eyes widened in fear. Oh my, is this a magical explosion? He screamed as if he had seen his ancestors waving at him from the other side of the river. Then, for some reason, the energy sphere suddenly became calm and showed no signs of chaos anymore. This made Isaac peek forward, unable to hide the surprise on his youthful face. Wait, this is a normal mana core that should have 3 colors, but it's white. But the color isn't the issue. Clearly, I haven't even condensed the mana into that small core properly yet. So what is this energy? This exceeds my expectations. How many blessings have been stuffed into this baby's body? If I put effort into this, I could become a monster even more powerful than I imagined. While thinking, Isaac directed his tiny hand toward the giant energy sphere and wrote "survive" on it. For him, survival was the most important thing. The desperate desire to survive was deeply engraved in his soul, so strong that it would drive him insane. That is the origin of my becoming a Lich King, and with that, I could create more original skills and abilities. Moreover, I successfully inherited the pile of magic within this body. Isaac excitedly thought about his achievement, while at the same time, outside, the 2 wicked servants saw that Isaac had sunk deep into sleep and spoke up. "Is he dead yet?" the man asked. "Check again," the girl reminded. However, before they could do anything, suddenly the tiny hand of the protagonist shot up, startling both of them, causing the man to scream and even cry out of fear. Oh my, he's still alive. Not noticing this, Isaac shouted loudly, "One more! Give me a stronger dose!" Back in reality, seeing the adorable figure of Isaac still lying peacefully in the cradle, the Emperor Uncle let out a sigh of relief. Phew, thankfully nothing happened down there. Our protagonist heard this and smugly thought, "Oh, I was just assassinated, what's the big deal?" Thinking that, he glanced over and noticed the face of the old bishop looking at him as if he was staring at an enemy. "What are you doing? Why is he looking at me like that? Is it because I ate too much? No, I can't do anything to make others suspicious right now." "Well then, let's play dumb. Smile, smile." Thinking that, he broke into a bright smile, but the more he smiled, the more distorted the old bishop's face became, and he began to curse Isaac in his heart. What the hell is wrong with him? If he drank that much, he should be dead. He should be vomiting blood everywhere. How can he still be laughing in my face? Thinking about this, the bishop's body trembled with rage as he recalled a few days ago at the Vatican, where a furious man was shouting in a luxurious room, when he received the notification from the old bishop that whoever becomes a saint will rule the holy nation. Ridiculous. In the end, everyone insists their child will be a saint, even the most lowly families. In response to his anger, the old hunting dog bishop stood up and pounded his chest. Rest assured, my lord, don't worry. All the other saint candidates have been taken care of. Hearing this, the strange man smiled comfortably, but he quickly recalled something, and his expression changed immediately. Of course, but I have heard some unpleasant rumors that there is a saint candidate from a family that we must consider. I wonder if there is any grudge against the Joshua family. The strange man was so angry that he crushed the metal glass in his hand, muttering that the Joshua family is the emperor's right hand, and if Isaac becomes a saint, it will definitely have a huge impact. It would ruin my future wicked plans, and the old bishop clearly understood this. However, that family is incredibly powerful, so he didn't dare to lay a hand on Isaac. But we can't do anything to them, the strange man hesitantly said. He didn't expect anything from the old man. The bishop can handle this. He angrily threw the glass from his hand down and carefully instructed that the kid will die as soon as you arrive. You just need to confirm his death. We have already sent someone to handle that. The saint must come from the Barry family. This cunning and cruel man is the head of the Barry family, and also Cardinal Hera Barry returning to reality. The old bishop saw Isaac still alive and began to doubt the words of Hera. He wondered if he was intentionally teasing him. He clearly said that he would definitely die. But why is he still alive now? How can this be so unreasonable? Unbeknownst to him, these filthy thoughts in his head, the emperor uncle gently stroked Isaac's small face and nodded, commenting, interesting. This shimmering golden hair is the color of the founder of the holy nation. Isn't that right, Bishop? Ha, sir. How can you say that? The old bishop awkwardly replied, while Isaac was also a bit surprised and speculated that the person in front of him seemed to be the next emperor. Uncle Alexander even made a statement that shocked Isaac even more. I even think the boy resembles a god more than the current pope. Indeed, the last saint candidate is different, Alexander said with a smile crossing his arms, while Isaac was so startled that he almost dropped the poisonous milk bottle in his hand. What am I, a candidate for the same position? Is this why those guys keep calling this saint and that saint? On the other side, the old bishop also felt uneasy, not less than the previous words of the emperor. Damn it, the emperor has already started to favor him. This cannot continue. Thinking about this, the old man raised his voice to interrupt. Sir, let me take care of this child. His words made the emperor uncle a bit uncomfortable, and he turned to ask, what's the reason? In response, the old man. The bishop hurriedly presented a few reasons he had just thought of. There's something wrong. A newborn cannot possibly drink all that vegetable juice. He's trying to convince me that Jack has something unusual and needs to be investigated. But the emperor is not foolish. Although there is no specific evidence, Uncle Meltias also silently suspects the Barry family. There must be some dirty action going on, so he immediately refused, right? The candidate for the saint is drinking from the congregation's cup, so something is off on the opposite side. The bishop refuses to give up and continues to persuade, but we still cannot be sure. I hope you will let me take care of the boy. As for this person, Uncle Emperor Alexander continues to deny and says that someone from the Joshua family will come so he can proceed and then return to Isaac's perspective. The fact that he himself becomes a candidate for the saint makes him feel very strange. I am the demon king, yet I am a candidate for the saint. How could this happen? Thinking about it, he suddenly burps and exhales a bit of purple mana, causing Isaac to panic and quickly cover his mouth. Oh no, that is dark mana that I have not fully digested. Did anyone see that he worries? And unfortunately, the old bishop has a nose sharper than a dog, even if it was just for a very brief moment. He sensed this dark energy and turned to stare at Isaac. Sir, it seems I just sensed something. It's the darkness emanating from this child's body. Looks like something suspicious is going on. The more he talks, the happier he becomes. When there was no reason to deal with Isaac suddenly, there was a very legitimate excuse looking at this smug expression of the old man. The face was sweating profusely and the small hands instinctively grabbed the bedsheet tightly, then panicked, thinking, has he discovered something? Unaware of what Isaac was thinking, the bishop continued to slander him. This child could be a failed candidate with just mana. So, I must report this to the Shai Set official immediately. Hearing this, of course Uncle Alexander could not easily agree. What the hell? How dare you say that to a precious candidate for the saint? Uncle Emperor questioned, however, the bishop had already thought of a reason to silence him. Oh, you don't need to worry anymore, sir. The Pope has his eyes on the Barry family's candidate to be the next saint. Hearing this, Alexander's expression changed. He cursed silently in his heart. He wanted the child from his own family to be the saint. How shameless. On the other side, Jack was also gritting his teeth. Clenching his fists? Oh, so that's why he wanted to eliminate me. Next, the old bishop also picked up Isaac and ordered those around him, now bring the Shast official here. With this statement, Alexander could not allow the Barry family's power to expand further. So he immediately intervened. Wait, the Joshua family is a close ally of the court. As the emperor, I believe this child should still be considered. In response, the bishop coldly nodded. I understand. Sir, but he also said that the prince's blessing will be granted after the saint is decided. This was a blatant threat that changed Emperor Alexander's expression. He immediately understood that if he did not support the child chosen by the Pope, he would refuse to grant the prince's blessing. Then Alexander also asked, is this the church's will? Returning to Isaac's perspective, he saw Uncle Emperor being put in a difficult situation. He felt once again that his life was being threatened. These damn cheap bastards, this is not good for me. If they discover who I am, I will be done for. Speaking of the bishop, to reassure Uncle Alexander, he also suggested, if not, we can check right now with my exorcism power. If the boy is human, he will be fine. But if this child is a demon, then... Before the words could fully leave his mouth, Isaac suddenly reached out and tightly grasped the milk bottle beside him, then began to channel a bit of energy into it to enhance it, and immediately slammed it straight into the face of the old man, holding him the blow so strong that it made him spit blood, and one of his teeth bid farewell to its owner after this hit. After finishing, Jack began to act. It's like this is just a child's prank, while secretly cursing the old man's ancestors for 18 generations. In his mind, this damn insolent name could go to hell. He would pretend to be a real baby in front of the bishop, who was in so much pain he couldn't speak. He couldn't believe that a newborn's hit with a baby bottle could hurt him so much. It could make him hurt like that again. The people around witnessing this were wide-eyed, whispering to each other, "Wait, is that light divine power? Then this child must surely be a saint." Back to Isaac. He continued to channel his energy into the baby bottle, causing it to emit a brief flash of golden light before striking the other cheek of the bishop. His small arm began to swing like a machine, making the bishop sway left and right, unable to defend himself to see what else you could do. "To me, you damn bastard." Looking at this scene, the Emperor's entourage did not. They didn't rush in to stop it. They even stood aside, watching with joyful eyes. Someone shouted out loud while Isaac seemed to feel unsatisfied with the hits and even began to increase a bit more magic. "That's right. I'll use enhancement magic to make this bottle harder and then hit like an innocent little baby. How about that?" The bastard chuckled to himself, and after the heavenly blows from Isaac, the old bishop felt like he was about to enter the orthopedic department of the hospital to check his face. The old man didn't even have the strength to stand anymore, causing some people around to feel a bit worried. The bishop was impressed by his divine power, not to mention them. Even Jack was a bit surprised. Looking at the source of divine power emanating from the baby bottle, he wondered, what is this? Although it was weak every time I used dark mana, there was always a bit of holy mana accompanying it. But these two things were clearly completely opposite. How could I use them together? It must definitely be related to that white mana core. Jack voiced his speculation in his heart before the old bishop regained his consciousness. He reached out his aged hand, snatched the baby bottle from Isaac, and angrily threw it to the ground. He swore to the group in front of him, "I swear on everything I have this child is a heretic. We must perform the exorcism ritual immediately," turning towards Isaac's viewpoint. The fact that this old man continuously sabotaged and pushed him to the brink also made his tolerance reach its peak. This stubborn bastard, fine. "I don't want to do this either, but it seems you have something interesting here." Just thinking, Isaac slipped his small hand into his coat and pulled out an arm wrapped tightly in bandages. On this arm there was a golden chain wrapped around it, and looking at the evil aura it emitted, even a fool could guess this was an ominous object. This was the remnant of a high-level demon that had been eradicated. An item capable of harnessing the power to absorb its kind. Among demons, looking at this arm, the old bishop's eyes also turned blank. He always kept it with him in case he was pursued by demons. How does this kid know about it? He wondered to himself. Jack also broke into a cunning smile and immediately threw the demon arm forward. "Look closely, you bastard. If you keep your eyes on me, don't blame me. Blame." Thinking this, Jack snapped his fingers, and right after that, the demon arm suddenly burst forth with an extremely powerful purple energy, finally forming a shadow resembling a human. Seeing this, the Emperor's guards immediately became alert, gripping their swords tightly at their waists. A demon? Why? They shouted at the sudden appearance of a demon inside the room. Uncle Emperor Alexander immediately turned to question the old bishop. "Bishop Masa, explain, quickly." "A demon inside the temple. Are you out of your mind?" Hearing this, the old Masa immediately pointed Isaac forward and poured all the blame onto him. "Can't you see this child just took out an artifact?" He spoke up, but Alexander didn't believe this at all. Artifacts are items associated with dead demons. How could it possibly resurrect a demon immediately? The old man spoke up, however, Alexander did not believe this statement at all. Artifacts are items associated with dead demons. How could they possibly resurrect demons immediately? Saying that, the uncle turned to command his knights. "Everyone listen up. Quickly protect the child from the wicked demon and the bishop." The group shouted in unison and quickly rushed forward. Next, the knight reached out to save Isaac from the old man's grasp. This left the old man bewildered. What is happening? Masa exclaimed in panic while Isaac continued to wear his mischievous smile, eagerly anticipating what would happen next. "Serves that despicable guy, right? Let's see how strong this bishop really is." Saying that, he glanced at the shadowy figure being held at sword point by several knights. Upon seeing Isaac, it seemed to take notice of him, though it was unclear if it recognized anything. Immediately, it went insane, screaming, "Kill the saint! We must kill the saint!" After saying this, it went wild, breaking free from the knight's hold and charging towards Isaac. Seeing this, the knight quickly covered his face. Isaac dodged to avoid being frightened, quickly retreating. Then a few other knights rushed to intercept the shadowy figure, shouting, "Protect our young master." Meanwhile, Ajax was left dumbfounded. "I don't understand why this demon suddenly went berserk. What's wrong with it? I'm the one who revived it, so why is it targeting me? Well, with the holy knights beside me, what do I have to worry about?" Ajax thought confidently to himself. However, this confidence didn't last more than 2 seconds when he saw a knight being thrown back by the shadowy figure. This made Ajax question whether these people were truly holy knights. In front, the shadowy figure continued to slash and scream, "Kill the saint! Save the imprisoned king!" The more it spoke, the stronger it seemed to become, easily tossing the guards aside like sacks of flour, causing the knight holding Isaac to turn pale in fear. He held Isaac so tightly that the boy's face was contorted. Seeing that the knights had no power to fight back against the demon, Isaac had no choice but to take action himself. Ha! Ha! First I need to stop it. No one will notice my mana in this chaos, right? Why are there so many people wanting to kill me in this life? I saved you and now you target me, you ungrateful little demon. Saying that, Isaac began to unleash his demon lord power, causing the shadowy figure's face to become stunned as it realized. The one standing in front of me is the demon lord. However, before it could react, a fierce, holy light began to radiate from Isaac. When this light shone on the shadowy figure, it seemed to be burned away. With no ability to resist, it immediately transformed into a beam of light and flew towards the exit to escape. That demon is running away, someone shouted. However, after that, they began to focus on Isaac, who had used his light to repel the demon. That was holy power, wasn't it? Lord Isaac has defeated a high-level demon. Impressive, he's so young. Ajax, not paying attention to their praises, looked at his small hands radiating pure light and couldn't help but wonder. What is this? It's really holy power, but how do I have it? It's all gone now. This is absurd. Could it be that this strange body has transformed my mana into holy power? Wait then, how can I absorb dark mana? This holy kingdom is already lacking in dark mana. Thinking of this, Isaac immediately gritted his teeth at the thought of the energy shortage in the future. Meanwhile, behind him, the other knights quickly restrained Bishop Masa again. This made him go insane, screaming like a wild dog. Let me go, you fools! That boy is a heretic. He has used the power of demons. A demon dares to step into the holy kingdom. Sir, let me show you. I will perform the exorcism ritual to reveal its true face. He shouted loudly, and in response to this, a chilling voice came from Emperor Alexander. That's enough, Bishop. You dare to slander an innocent saint candidate as a heretic, even releasing a high-level demon in front of the royal holy knights despite being a member of the Holy See. Don't think for a second that I will let this slide. The words of the uncle made the demon bishop grind his teeth, audibly reminding himself that the seed of doubt had already been sown in the emperor's mind. He will soon find out about the snake's deception. If that happens, it will have dire consequences for the family. Even if it costs my life, I must save my clan, so at the very least, I must eliminate this threat. The saint candidate thought about this. Although his hands were bound, the demon bishop could still move his fingers to draw some kind of magical circle, and immediately summoned a ferocious wolf. With eyes as red as blood without waiting for the bishop to give a command, the wolf charged at Isaac, ready to devour him. Seeing this, beads of sweat began to drip down the knight's face. Isaac sighed in frustration. This stubborn guy finally revealed his true face, huh? Does he really think he can kill me with such a weak attack? Thinking that Isaac prepared to use his magic to counterattack, but he suddenly realized that he had run out of magical power and the giant wolf in front of him suddenly flashed. It appeared right in front of him, its sharp teeth bared, lunging forward as if to send him to meet the Grim Reaper in one blow. However, the Grim Reaper wasn't ready to accept Isaac's soul yet. At the most dangerous moment, a wave of energy suddenly surged from afar, striking the giant wolf's neck, causing it to howl in pain. Seeing this, Isaac's eyes widened in astonishment. He immediately turned towards the source of the attack. Who dares to lay hands on the descendants of the Joshua family? A young man dressed like a noble spoke coldly. He was the seventh son of the Joshua family, Relay Joshua. Seeing him appear, the surrounding knights gasped, exclaiming that these were the knights of the Joshua family. Ignoring their astonished gazes, Relay immediately pointed at the bishop and ordered, "Arrest this bishop." Immediately, the group of knights behind him nodded in agreement. They quickly rushed to subdue the demon bishop, while the old bishop, seeing himself being captured, could only bark out a few meaningless words. "Let me go, you dogs of the Joshua family. How dare you touch me?" For Isaac, the name Joshua felt somewhat familiar. Let's see, Joshua. It seems I've heard this name somewhere before. He thought to himself while Relay spoke to the other knights expressing his respect. In response, all the knights of the Joshua family knelt before Isaac and said in unison, "Greetings, young master of the Joshua family. We apologize for being late." Isaac glanced at the man before him and quickly acknowledged, looking at how serious this guy is, he must be stronger than the other royal knights. Unaware of Isaac's thoughts, Relay continued, "I can't say this is to make up for past mistakes, but this is a small gift I want to give you." As he spoke, he gestured to a knight behind him, who understood and reached into his pocket as if to pull something out. This made our protagonist curious and a bit eager. Is it gold? Is it a gold bar? Isaac's eyes were filled with anticipation. However, what was pulled out left him stunned, for it was a model of his own dried corpse from before a statue kneeling as if in repentance, with shackles on his hands and two swords resting on it. The knight cheerfully introduced, "This is the model of the demon king who was executed. We also have a model of him being burned alive. Would you like a model of him being crushed? Our young master is just too adorable. How can he be so cute?" They said while presenting the models before the protagonist, not noticing that the boy's face had started to well up with tears of anguish. He began to lament inwardly, "How can I survive in such a crazy family?" On the opposite side, the group of knights, seeing Isaac's tears, thought he was overwhelmed with joy. Look at how he enjoys it. So adorable, he's so moved that he's shedding tears. And then Isaac's mind began to race as he gradually remembered who this Joshua was. Wait a minute, Joshua. I remember now. So cute. He was so moved that he almost cried. Following that, Isaac's mind began to calculate, gradually remembering who this Joshua was. Wait a minute, Joshua, I've remembered. It is the name of the Saintess who once tried to defeat him, and now images from the past begin to emerge in Isaac's mind as he is continuously confronted by those who claim to be. Joshua challenges me as Joshua, the 45th Saintess. I am. Orcs, Joshua, the 61st. You have no right to know my name. Just think of those guys like Lich is always coming to challenge me. Isaac feels a throbbing headache from his own hair. I knew they all belonged to the cursed Joshua family, not just one candidate for sainthood, but I also live in a family full of saintesses. What sin did I commit in my past life to endure this in this life? The general sighed inwardly. The group was drawn to the meaningless screams of the mad bishop, making them pay attention to those ignorant fools. Seeing this, a knight behind immediately locked the old man's two hands. Hey, is this a warning? How dare you shut your mouth? Not paying attention to the bishop's warning, he continued to scream like a rabid dog. I knew you were heretics. Where did you pick up that creature from? I will expose your true identity. I never expected you to dare bring that monster with you. Has the Joshua family decayed to this extent? I will definitely report the entire Joshua family. You, on the opposite side, can no longer endure these insults. And immediately Riley gripped his sword tightly and swung it forward. The tip of the sword gently brushed against the bishop's throat, causing him to spit out a stream of blood. Yet Riley had aimed so accurately that this strike only injured the bishop, not enough to send him to meet the king of hell. But at least it was enough to make this old man shut up. Bishop Masa began to kneel before Riley, coughing, while Riley coldly looked at him and warned you should feel grateful for the mercy of the Joshua family. Thanks to that, we did not sever your head. Meanwhile, Isaac saw that Riley could act so decisively and stroked his chin, thinking to himself, oh, this guy seems useful, ready to attack a bishop just for slandering his family. If there is a good reason he might even dare to attack the Holy See. Around him, the other knights saw Isaac's eyes light up with delight at Riley's punishment of Masa, and they immediately worriedly brought some skull models before him, advising the young master. You don't need to listen to those words. Just look and hear the good things. Hearing this, Isaac glanced at the tortured skull models, his eyes showing discomfort. Silently cursing this group of idiots should just go away. No one is useful at all. Then, he suddenly remembered, wait, Joshua the Saintess. They were extremely powerful enemies in the past, even former subordinates of mine. Just thinking of Joshua the Saintess is enough to give me chills. On the opposite side, to tease Isaac, the knights made ugly faces, even tearing off the skull of the model to show him, look, the severed head of the Demon King. Here it is, severed. Looking at how they taught a newborn like that, Isaac could only scream in his head, oh my. Stop it, Henry. His subordinates were terrified. Then, talking about Uncle Emperor Alexander, seeing that the matter had been resolved by Veli, he also stepped forward to express his gratitude. I will not forget this debt of kindness. By the way, speaking of this, can you talk to your family head about the royal family wanting to adopt this child? For Isaac, the proposal from Emperor Alexander was like a ticket to free him from this crazy family. His eyes lit up with anticipation. Wow, the emperor is paying attention to me. Isaac thought with endless hope. However, unfortunately for him, Vailai immediately refused, saying, Your Majesty, please do not chase him away, explaining his proposal. Alexander slowly said both internal and external forces. The Holy Kingdom will target this young master. Surely you have noticed this, right? Of course, the family is not weak at all, but are you sure that your current belief in the Saintess is enough to protect this child? Over here, Riley was also saying something, but Jack could not hear clearly. There was no other way. He had to raise his hand towards the Emperor, waiting to see how this uncle would respond. Alexander continued, the Pope also does not accept this child. The boy has the same hair color as the founding emperor. Alexander continued, the Pope also did not accept this child. The boy has the same hair color as the founding emperor. Moreover, sometimes the skeletal demon king might be chasing the boy. The uncle's words made everyone widened their eyes in disbelief as suddenly he was labeled as a child-hunting demon. Wait, I'm the skeletal demon king. Why would I do that? I have to chase myself, but I can't understand these thoughts in my heart. Vailai continued to refuse, hoping for forgiveness, Your Majesty, because this child belongs to the lineage of the Joshua family. So we will raise the boy as a member of the family, whether it is the Pope or the skeletal demon king. The Joshua family is fully capable of handling everything. He suddenly smiled. To add a meaningful remark, I actually believe that the former Saintess Melissa would be very happy to meet the skeletal demon king again. His words made the emperor laugh as he remembered the personality of the Saintess Melissa. I believe that too. Taking this opportunity, Riley also chimed in. Then how could we agree to send the direct descendant of Saintess Melissa to the royal family to be raised? Returning to Isaac's perspective, the name Melissa suddenly echoed, reminding him of a fierce figure, like a raging storm. Was it Melissa, his ultimate enemy, before attacking the heavenly realm? Is that Melissa, the most difficult and insane saintess I have ever faced? Not only born as a candidate for sainthood in a family of saintesses, but also a direct descendant of Melissa. What the hell is happening to me in this life? Who is crying out in my heart? What is a saintess after being defeated by the skeletal demon king countless times they decided to create an ultimate weapon? That is the Saintess, a war goddess of light from the Holy Kingdom, the highest rank of knight with overwhelming combat power. Everyone thought the skeletal demon king would soon be defeated. Her attack and defense were on par with a god. Possessing a strong survival instinct, her attacks disregarded her own safety. Those beautiful, powerful, and long-lived individuals are what the Saintess possesses. However, the skeletal demon king is extremely powerful. No Saintess has ever been able to defeat Isaac. In the past, Isaac had never killed any Saintess. Killing them would only put him at a greater disadvantage, because when killing the Saintesses, all the holy power would return to the god, and they would use that very holy power to nurture future Saintesses. However, the last Saintess Melissa was truly incredibly powerful. Isaac almost lost his life at her hands. But now, unexpectedly, Melissa has become Isaac's ancestor. The more he thought about it, the darker the main character's face came. If that Saintess aunt discovered his true identity, just thinking about it was enough to make anyone's skin crawl. Over here, the Knight Royale was still happily boasting that the Saintess was an existence that sought nothing but the death of the skeletal demon king. The Joshua family was the only family that created the Saintess. And our only mission is to defeat everything against the divine. I am sure the Joshua family can fully protect this child. This assertion from Vailai made Uncle Emperor Alexander ponder. It seemed like he was considering this issue. And meanwhile, to add more persuasion, a brown-haired knight also raised his hand to his chest and assured indeed. Do you know how many Saintesses have fallen at the hands of the skeletal demon king? Hearing this accusation, Isaac was so furious that his whole body trembled. Who has done anything? Who has touched anyone? Unaware of Isaac's thoughts, the knight continued to recount his crimes. The skeletal demon king had once imprisoned a Saintess in a labyrinth, after deeming her unworthy of his presence. This accusation was too unjust for Isaac. I let her go. How could I know she would get lost like that? The knight continued. 5 Saintesses had died of disappointment after facing Isaac. Hearing this, Isaac cursed inwardly. They should have gone to the hospital instead. Turning to Vlain's perspective. Seeing his nephew struggling uncomfortably, he comforted him. It's okay. There's nothing to worry about. Even if you are cursed, we will do everything to protect you. His words were filled with affection and concern. I wonder if he knew the thoughts in Isaac's heart, would he still be able to think so lightly? People are the ones who cannot accept that. Just curse me, Isaac said while punching his small fist into Yahello to vent his anger. This only made Riley feel even happier. We are about to be grateful for your birth. Your parents only wish for one thing from you. His parents only wish for one thing from him. I hope that in the future you won't grow up to be like that cruel skeletal demon king. His words felt like a cold bucket of water poured straight onto Ajax's head, causing all his anger to suddenly vanish, replaced by an endless sense of guilt. Oh, my nameless progenitors, I'm sorry for shattering the small hopes and dreams of those two. The boy whispered and turned back to Uncle Alexander. After some hesitation, he still hadn't given up on adopting Isaac, so he advised him to reconsider. The skeletal demon king has been sealed since 155 years ago. The information from Uncle surprised Isaac a bit. Has it been that long? Doesn't that mean Melissa has been dead for a long time? She has been over 50 years old since their last match. Up ahead, Emperor Alexander continued to share some information that surprised our main character even more. During that time, the demon race had begun to expand their army, and having a saint by their side would be a perfect opportunity to increase the influence of the Holy Nation, therefore. This young master is very important to the royal family. However, currently there is no Saintess from the Joshua family. It has been over a year since the Saintess gave birth to this child and disappeared along with her husband. For Isaac, this information was like a bolt from the blue. First, the fact that he's a direct descendant of the Saintess Melissa was enough to make him feel uneasy all over. Now he never expected that his biological mother was a Saintess. Turning to Vailai's perspective, he held Isaac tightly in his arms and firmly refused, even though my brother is not here. But the head of the family is still very strong. The Joshua family can fully protect this child. For Isaac, he was completely laid bare before the situation he was in. That's right. I think nothing can surprise me anymore. How could anything be more surprising than the fact that my mother is a Saintess? That's what Ajax thought. However, the next story of the two men really made him feel like his biological alarm bells were ringing non-stop. The Emperor asked, "Did you not say that Lady Melissa is currently on her way to eliminate the minions of the skeletal demon king?" Riley replied with a nod. She will be back soon. The lady of the house will surely be very happy to meet her grandson. Their words reminded Isaac of the longevity of the Saintess, so the fact that she is still alive to this day is not too surprising. She has lived for over 200 years. Why hasn't she died yet? It seems like there is still some time before Melissa returns and the child seems to be worried. Is the boy okay? Alexander said while pointing at Isaac with a pained expression. Seeing this, Riley also reached out to pat the boy's head and said he will be fine soon. For Isaac, if he could speak right now, he would have already yelled out loud, "Do you think I will be fine soon when my lifelong enemy is still alive and kicking?" The moment Melissa discovers my identity, I will be burned at the stake. Others may not matter. But Melissa is the last person I encountered before I died. To survive thinking of this, Ajax began to sell himself short. Pushing aside his embarrassment, he reached out his small hand. He tightly grasped the Emperor's index finger and put on an incredibly cute expression. "Emperor, please take me with you," Isaac said, winking mischievously, causing the Emperor's face to turn red. Bursting with excitement, "Oh, this child, look, even he wants to return to the royal family." Seeing this, Vailai immediately reached out to pull the boy's leg towards him and shook his head. "That child is just a bit too friendly." "Your Majesty," up ahead, the Emperor also pulled Isaac's arm towards him and promised that the royal family could provide many things for this boy, even though the Joshua family specializes in training Saintesses. But they don't have much experience in raising saints. On the other side, Riley also refused to back down, pulling Isaac's hand in the opposite direction, asserting that this child was destined to be a left-handed knight. And no family is better than the Joshua family in training left-handed knights, Your Majesty. Besides, this boy is also the first saint born in history. So isn't the royal family also lacking experience in raising him? A saint. No, the royal family is better than the Joshua family. After all, who is better? The two men shouted loudly and then began to stretch the main character's body, making him feel like his arms were also stretching a few centimeters longer. The two men shouted loudly and then began to stretch the protagonist's body, making the boy feel as if his arms were also extending a few centimeters. Next to the group of knights witnessing this scene, they were terrified and hurriedly advised to please calm down, or else the two of them would tear the young master apart. As for Isaac, of course, he wanted to follow the royal family to escape from his clan. After all, damn it, I will follow the royal family. Stop it, I don't want to die. Besides, the light shining into life continuously radiated from the emperor, which meant I would have many opportunities. Surviving would be better if I followed the emperor, and I couldn't let this opportunity slip away. Who Jack said while glancing at Uncle Marsha, making him feel quite satisfied. A wise choice carrying the child, huh? The words just fell, and suddenly a fierce holy light began to radiate from Isaac, making him not even understand what was happening. The scene shifted to the position of the old Bishop Masa. At this moment, he was kneeling in front of a group of people in black cloaks, lamenting in panic, "It can't be. I'm sure it used mana. I dare say that child is the son of a demon." In response to this statement was a cold glare from the leader of the group in black. The holy power was granted by the deity. So you're telling me that the demon race holds holy power? When this statement echoed, a subordinate behind understood the implication. Slowly drawing his sharp sword from its sheath, causing the old man Masa to startle and step back a few paces confusedly, saying, "But I'm sure that was mana." How could I confuse mana with holy power? Ignoring these words, the leader coldly issued the death sentence. The Holy Court had delivered its final verdict on your statement, which was blasphemy against the divine. As the words fell, the sword-wielding subordinate rushed forward, swinging his sword across the throat of the old man, Masa. In an instant, he met the king of hell immediately. As a result, he was sacrificed for the clan just as he had wished. After completing the mission, the sword-wielding subordinate immediately suggested, "I will gather a team to attack." Hearing this, the Pope Hira just shook his head at the proposal. No need. After all, the emperor will take the child with him. There are still many opportunities in the royal territory, so we will plan for that later. This time, that kid will definitely have to die. Time quickly passed, shifting the scene to Isaac, who was also feeling bored. Lying inside the carriage and returning to the Joshua clan to talk about this one, must recount the time from a few days ago when a brilliant holy light began to radiate from his body, nearly blinding anyone who looked. He hurriedly raised both hands to cover his eyes. "Oh my, why is it so bright?" He complained in one breath while the guy from GLI also admitted to the child-rearing ability of his clan. "Yes, Your Majesty, the Joshua clan is indeed not a suitable place to raise children. You can imagine it as a place filled with the corpses of demons, and the most precious mana in the Joshua clan is the corpse of the Demon King." Returning to Isaac, hearing this made his eyes widen. "What, my body? You are holding it. I should have mentioned this sooner." The male lead inwardly reproached himself for this. After all, in the Holy Kingdom, dark magic was already too scarce. Therefore, he needed items related to the demon race to replenish his energy. Thus, even though he didn't want to go, Isaac had to reluctantly reach out and grab Viley's finger pointing outside, like urging him to hurry up. "Uncle, look, let's go to GLI together," Ajax Bebo said. Although he could only hear the sounds of EA coming from his mouth, it was enough to move the GLI guy to the point of almost crying. In short, that was the situation. Inside his little cradle, Jack also crossed his right leg over his left and boredly thought about his fate. Even though he was being pulled away from the royal family and taken to the army if he wanted to touch his own corpse, this was the only way. That body had been trained with mana to the point of being comparable to the divine. If he couldn't get it back, then being human would mean nothing. More importantly, this was the first time he saw the light. The desire to live could shine that brightly, which meant following this uncle to the checkpoint would be a huge advantage for his survival. Unaware of the thoughts of the young Isaac, a knight inside the carriage suddenly spoke up. "Why is the Pope's army chasing after young Master Isaac?" Hearing this, unaware of the old man's thoughts, Isaac, a knight inside the carriage, suddenly spoke up. "Why is the Pope's army pursuing young Master Isaac?" Hearing this, the main character, being a bit curious, pulled someone up to eavesdrop, as he was also wondering about that matter. After all, why did they have to make such a big deal out of it? You ask a question to explain this, and the live friend glanced at Isaac beside him and slowly said, "It is because we received a prophecy from the gods saying that the saint will become the child of the gods." Hearing this, the blonde knight was startled. He quickly guessed something and cautiously asked, "So that person will become the next pope?" "That's right, that's why the people of the Berries family have tried so hard to create a saint." Riley nodded in acknowledgement while Isaac, caught in the middle, was utterly confused about what was happening here. The Pope is the strongest cleric capable of using level 10 holy magic. He is no different from the king of all clerics and holy knights in the Holy Kingdom. He's a figure with power almost equal to that of an emperor. Over thousands of years, the Berries family has produced countless popes, so it is reasonable for them to fear that a saint candidate might rob them of that. So that's why all the other families also want to create a saint. The boy stroked his chin in thought. However, before he could think much more suddenly outside, there were some loud noises and the carriage came to a stop. The live friend poked his head out of the window and asked what's going on. In response to this, the coachman hurriedly ran over to explain, Sir Lai, we have arrived at the duchy. But there is a bit of a problem. Saying that, the coachman also glanced back at a few gate guards who were refusing to let them in. Sorry, but you are not allowed to enter the duchy. Their words made Relay furious. How dare these lowly guards block the Joshua family's way? Don't you recognize the emblem of the Joshua family? Have you all received proper education? Of course, the guards in front recognized the emblem of the Joshua family, or rather, they were also waiting for Isaac's group to arrive here. To the point where moss was about to grow on them, of course you cannot enter because we must eliminate the child of the saint. As he spoke, their bodies began to exude a dark, magical power. Their nails and fangs began to grow long and their skin turned a very eerie shade of purple. Just by looking at their appearance, one could guess. These people were not gentle at all. Isaac also poked his head out of the window to observe his demon kin, who now wanted to assassinate their leader, and was also taken aback. What the hell is this? Clearly I am forbidding them from attacking human territory. What the hell is that new demon king doing? The boy shouted as the scene shifted to the front, where a three-eyed demon began pointing his finger at the group and declared, Listen clearly, you lowly humans. Our revered king has commanded us to eliminate all saints and saintesses. In the name of the skeletal demon King Isaac, we will eliminate all saints if you leave the child behind. Perhaps the skeletal demon King Isaac will be willing to spare you, the three-eyed demon said arrogantly. But while he was still boldly declaring from above, a bolt of blue lightning suddenly struck down, causing him to be charred black. Seeing this, the other two demons were also startled and shouted, That lowly holy knight! Their words were filled with confusion and panic while Lai gripped his sword tightly and slowly advanced forward with immense anger. How dare you say such words to an exorcist of the Joshua family? So you have chosen death? Listen clearly. For the ideal of protecting all the small beings in this world, the Joshua family will eliminate all evil. We will chase you to the ends of hell to eradicate your kind. And that cruel, skeletal demon king as well. I cannot believe he would use his subordinates to reclaim his body like that. Relay's face showed clear disdain and sarcasm upon hearing these words from him. How could the demon kin endure any longer? Why do lowly humans like you dare to insult the undead demon King Jack? It's all for the goal of resurrecting our king, Sir Jack. As soon as he finished speaking, the fierce demon clan charged forward to attack, while the knights tightened their grips on their swords, surrounding themselves with a source of energy to be ready to respond. On another side, the blonde knight saw the situation becoming dangerous and quickly grabbed Isaac, hastily leaving the carriage. Sorry, young master, he whispered, then gradually increased his speed. Meanwhile, Isaac still didn't understand what was happening. What is going on? Could someone be impersonating me? He wondered to himself. After taking Isaac deep into the forest, the blonde knight gently placed him in a thicket to hide. Please wait for me here. I will be back soon. Saying that he used his energy to create a protective shield for Isaac. Is this a barrier? Even high-ranking nobles cannot penetrate this. It seems quite strong. Since nothing can penetrate from the outside, it also means nothing from the inside can break it. If that's the case, then the desire to survive activates the release of magic. Listen to my call, you who are created from magic, but possess a mind. Whisper, you observe according to Isaac's call. Immediately a black cloud with a demonic face appeared before him. Seeing Isaac, this shadow joyfully exclaimed, The revered king, my master. Before Whisper could say anything more, Isaac quickly reached out to cover its mouth. Enough. It's been a long time, but shut your mouth or we'll all be dead. Now Whisper, he said, calming down a bit, then cheerfully added, I thought I would never witness your magnificent appearance again. Isaac let out a sigh of relief upon seeing his loyal subordinate. I thought I was done for. It's been a while, hasn't it, Whisper? Even though it was just a magic probe, it possessed its own consciousness which Isaac had created. Because using magic to probe and analyze results manually was too labor-intensive over time. Whisper had developed a personality, but it was still quite talkative. On the opposite side, the shadow of Whisper let out an eerie laugh, taking the opportunity to flatter its master. Your cruelty is still as great as ever. Congratulations on possessing the body of a child without feeling any guilt. But how dare those filthy beings do this to my master? Although my master may be a bit despicable, I still can't believe it. They dared to place my master in the body of such a filthy child, Whisper said, while flying around Isaac to observe. Its words made the main character uncomfortable. Enough already. Instead, focus on finding the enemy, Isaac ordered. Understood, I will start right away. Now I will search within a range of 100 meters. After saying that, a faint source of energy emanated from his body, spreading out in all directions. Before long, images were sent into his mind. There are 88 enemies or monsters. Beings like them can never compare to you, my esteemed master, Whisper said with a smile, while Isaac couldn't even manage a smile in response. What the hell? Are these monsters going insane? Wait a minute. 88. Are they really planning to wage war? If the war spreads, summoning my subordinates will become even more difficult. If it continues like this, I will have to end this myself before the Joshua clan discovers it. Even if I have to expend all the magic power I have painstakingly stored, just thinking about the mana that took so much effort to accumulate being used up makes me shudder. However, before he could do anything, the shadow of Whisper suddenly showed a look of astonishment. Currently, there are only 51 enemies left. The number of enemies is rapidly decreasing. Now there are only 31 left, then 13. The sudden change made Jack's small mouth drop open in confusion about what was happening. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the brown-haired knight in the back also noticed something and quickly warned, "Sir, something is coming." Hearing that, the knight immediately commanded everyone, "Quickly form a defensive line." On another side, the demon clan seemed to know who was coming, so they laughed loudly. "Finally, it's here, brother, let's go together. Today we will kill that saint." Just as the words fell, suddenly the body of the blonde demon was pierced by a source of energy, tearing him in half in an instant. Seeing this scene, the faces of the holy knights also became blank, while Whisper happily shared the news. "There are no more enemies left. I have found the Dark Lich." At this moment, the Dark Lich also looked towards the group from GLI, with eyes blazing with anger. "How dare you lay your filthy hands on my king? You shall pay with your lives." His words left Isaac sitting there in a daze, helplessly wondering what on earth had happened to this subordinate. Up ahead, the furious voice of the Lich continued to echo, "My king, my only master, and yet you dare to swallow him into the body of a lowly child. Do not dare to look at him with those disgusting eyes. I will gouge your eyes out." This attitude can only be explained by the fact that Isaac is the one who freed him. So all the twisted affections that the Dark Lich had for him exploded. However, the group of knights completely did not understand because he was speaking in a completely different language behind the whisper, also laughing delightfully at the Lich's attitude. Wow, this is really chaotic for Isaac. This situation made him feel a bit awkward. It seems that the bastard mistook him for the undead demon king. His effort to follow me is commendable, but what are you doing? Jack silently complained in his heart. Meanwhile, the knights, although they did not understand what the Lich was shouting or rushed to attack, preparing to fight, one person shouted upon seeing this. Jack also felt worried for his subordinate behind him. He began to shout a warning to the bastard not to mess with his life. "My magic core is very precious." Hearing Isaac's shout, the blonde knight thought he was panicking, so he quickly turned back to reassure young Master Isaac. "Please wait just a moment longer. I will handle this." Before the words even fell to lips, Overhear had already joyfully covered his face. Hey, my master has recognized me. The guiding light has recognized me." His giggling started to make the blonde knight shiver, his hair standing on end. Young Master Riley, that demon aristocrat, was showing hostility. He shouted, but before he could do anything, Telish's body rushed forward. Like a gust of wind heading straight to his master, upon seeing this, GLI immediately turned around. That lowly thing was heading towards Isaac. Returning to Lich's perspective, he also complained a bit. "You filthy holy knights, how dare you seal him in this filthy place?" Seeing his subordinate approaching, Isaac was also delighted. "Great, I've caught his eye. I cannot let my magic core be diminished." Thinking this, he immediately commanded, "Let's start by breaking this protective barrier. I have received orders from Lord Lich," responding while swinging his sharp arm straight at the energy barrier. With just one single strike, the shield shattered into many pieces. From afar, the group of knights was also startled. It's just a pity for this Lich friend. All his efforts to rescue his master became futile because right after that, he was betrayed by Isaac without any entanglement. At this moment, only the small hands of the protagonist could be seen. Gently touching the Lich's hand, he praised him. "Well done now. Don't cause any more trouble. Take a little rest." Saying that Isaac used his energy to seal the Lich inside the demon arm, Lich could only scream out one word, "Why?" And then he completely disappeared before everyone's eyes. Could it be that he has transformed into a demon ancestor? Riley speculated while looking at Isaac's innocent face. Has he transformed into a demon ancestor on the very first try? He's truly extraordinary, right? That is a holy technique that only those, at least as strong as a cardinal or saintess, can use. The group of knights excitedly said, simultaneously cheering for Isaac. Meanwhile, GLI himself also had some doubts about this event. It is definitely a holy technique of ancestor transformation, but even with such a high-level holy technique, why can't I feel any holy power from it? He curiously said. Beside him, the blonde knight also voiced his speculation. It's like people only reveal their true worth in times of crisis. And that guy has rushed right in front of my young master. I'm sure even the Dark Lich sensed the danger instinctively, so he hurriedly sought to eliminate the source of danger. Our young master is amazing, I'm sure of it. I'm completely certain that the young master is a saint, he said with a face full of unwavering confidence, as if no one could refute this view. This made Riley speechless. Then, as if remembering something, Riley's face turned bitter. He is not wrong. Even the demon race has come here to target this child. Even if he is not a saint, he definitely has something special. But why does it have to be a boy? Because of the curse of the undead demon king, the sons in the family will ultimately... Before Riley could finish his thoughts, the blonde knight in front interrupted with a declaration. "I have made up my mind. As the captain of the Holy Order, I will protect Isaac's future. You will become the future of the Joshua family." His grand declaration made GLI's face turn blank for a moment. Then, as if he had figured something out, Riley mocked himself. "I understand now. I really am foolish. I keep fearing that the curse of the undead king will bring glory to the Joshua family when this child comes home. Isaac, uncle, will teach you many things. You have wonderful talent. So I will nurture you to become an extraordinary holy knight," he said while lifting Isaac's body up, while Isaac also told himself, "Yes, I will not become that, just return home and give my body back to me, and that will be enough." He happily thought before falling silent at the next words from GLI. "Even if you won't live long, uncle will protect you at all costs." Your name will spread across this continent for Isaac. The previous words from GLI immediately made him feel that something was wrong that he still didn't know. Wait, I feel like someone just said something super unsettling. The main character thought while struggling, but this only made Riley feel even more delighted to see Ajax playing with him. I knew you would like it. Once we get home, I will start by teaching you how to curse that dishonorable undead king, Riley said, his eyes shining like headlights, while Isaac also began to curse him in his heart. Ha ha ha, you damned Joshua time quickly passed, transitioning to the home of Duke Joshua. At this moment, Isaac's group finally returned to the family, looking at each row of architecture. Along with the decorations placed around, making Ajax unable to help but be astonished. These damned fools are so eager to tear apart the demon race like this. But in reality, living in such a luxurious life like this, how much money must this pile cost? These damn capitalists I encountered worked so hard that their clothes wore out just to feed their children. Thinking of this, a chill ran down my spine, feeling bitter about life as an undead before. Even Whisper couldn't help but complain, "Oh my master. This place is on a completely different level compared to our dilapidated palace. Just sell a few of those sculptures. Then we could buy 10 Demon King castles." Its words felt like a knife stabbing deep into Isaac's heart, causing him to unconsciously tighten his grip on the railing and grit his teeth, reminding the subordinate, "I know, just shut up." Inside the carriage, his friend GLI also reached out to pull Isaac away from the window to prevent him from falling and spoke, "This is the Joshua family, Isaac. This is the origin of exorcism and monster slaying on the continent. Look, when you grow up, you will be like those kids," GLI said while taking Isaac to the window. Following the gaze of the two in the distance, there was a group of young teenagers wielding swords in their hands, continuously hacking at the scarecrow in front of them, muttering, "Die, undead king. Fall apart, undead king. You are already half defeated. Kneel down. Your remains are not enough. Undead king." Die, seeing this attitude of the young teenagers. While I smiled very satisfactorily, only Isaac was left gaping at their attitude, but he had to ask himself a question in his heart. What exactly are these people teaching the children? Is this a family with the same beliefs? Oh well. Anyway, it doesn't matter as long as I infiltrate the Holy Kingdom. Then I will eliminate the Emperor and turn this place into an empire, Isaac silently planned in his heart. And just like reading his thoughts, the subordinate, Whisper, began to glance at him with a mischievous look. "What are you doing, undead king, holding a grudge against those kids who are playing truly despicable?" The mouth of the cheeky Whisper had no hint of tact, making Jack grit his teeth to remind him to shut up and survey the surroundings. Of course, Whisper smirked and quickly activated his sensing ability. Very quickly in his perception, countless bright spots appeared marked inside the 3-story building in front of them. Looking at this, Jack's eyes widened in amazement. All of them are mana cores, but why are there 10 of them? Not to mention him even. Whisper felt extremely surprised by this. This is the first time I have seen so many mana cores concentrated in one place like this. How many demon races have they killed? At this moment, the voice of the driver rang out from outside. "We have arrived." Seeing this, Riley also took Isaac down from the carriage and instructed a few servants in front to prepare a room for him. "Isaac will stay with me." In response to this, the servant's voice was a bit flustered. "I'm sorry, young Master Riley. We were ordered to take young Master Isaac to the annex. The annex. But why?" Vline frowned and asked the bespectacled servant to explain that the 5th young master had said that young Master Ajax should never be brought into the main building, and Isaac felt that as soon as he returned to the family, he was blocked by someone else. It seemed that the atmosphere in this family was not as peaceful as he thought. What was happening now? This family really does well. Since rolling around outside like a newborn baby, I already knew. Joshua, feeling shattered, turned towards the relay's perspective. At this moment, he guessed the intention of the 5th young master when he told them to bring Isaac to the auxiliary building. Did he want to take Isaac to that cursed, deadly place? Indeed, doing something pointless, and upon hearing this, Isaac nodded repeatedly like a machine, confirming that he could live in the mansion. Why go to the auxiliary building? The words just dropped, suddenly whispered into the main character's ear about the mana cores located in that auxiliary building. This statement made Isaac's attitude immediately flip. He began to wail loudly, demanding to go to the auxiliary building. Unfortunately, Vline did not understand the true meaning of those words, and immediately dismissed the idea of taking Isaac to the auxiliary building. And he told the servant behind him to step back. He could not leave his nephew in that haunted, wandering place. "Come to Uncle's room, Isaac. Uncle will read to you the holy book about how the great saint fought against the skeletal demon as a bedtime story every night. After that, Uncle will teach you the methods to exorcise it." Specifically for the skeletal demon. "Oh my, that is an exorcism for me. Do you want to kill me or what?" Jack groaned, and before the two of them could take a few steps, a disturbing sound suddenly rang out. "Why are you making such a big deal out of just picking up a homeless kid? Clearly I said I would take that kid to the auxiliary building a long time ago. You haven't seen him, and you intend to oppose your brother." The green-haired, petty-faced guy is Gowell Joshua, the 5th son of the Joshua family. Looking at his arrogant demeanor, Isaac immediately guessed that he was a real thug. The eyes of Relly and Gowell began to clash with each other. It seemed that neither of them was friendly at all. "Put that down. I will send it to the auxiliary building," Gowell spoke up in a cold voice, but there was no way that Vline would agree to this. He began to hold Isaac tightly in his arms and refused. "Are you joking? This child is a descendant of the Joshua family. There's no way we would send him to the auxiliary building, which was once used for exile. Upon hearing this, Isaac also glanced at Gowell and immediately added him to his blacklist. That rude name must belong to the faction that does not welcome his presence. Just thinking about this made him feel uneasy. Isaac's face twisted again as Vline hugged him too tightly. Quickly let go. I will go to my room and read that story about how the skeletal king was defeated. Let me down. Just send me to the auxiliary building. Jack reproached him, and then Gowell stepped forward, poking his finger into the main character's chubby face and mocking. Where did you find such a skinny little kid? Descend at my foot. Looking at his wanting to get beaten demeanor, Isaac's fists clenched in anger. Just wait until this guy grows up. I will definitely pull his oxygen machine out. I really like the idea of being sent to the auxiliary building. But what the hell is this guy doing? Are you a member of the clergy or a thug? But whatever, I just need to get to the auxiliary building and suck on the mana core. Thinking of this, Isaac decided to lie back, exhaling a breath full of annoyance, no longer paying attention to this. Meanwhile, Vline's anger gradually increased as Gowell refused to let go. Do you think, I don't know, why you want to send this child to the auxiliary building? You want everyone to think this child is cursed so that you can eliminate his inheritance rights. Hearing this from his uncle, Jack could no longer maintain this lax attitude. Wait a minute. Eliminate inheritance rights. Damn it, hold on a second. That won't do. I still want to drain this house to become a saint, then become the Pope and take revenge on those damn deities. Thinking of those deities that betrayed him, Jack was furious. Unbeknownst to him, Google was still smugly laughing, wanting everyone to think that way. I heard that a demon appeared to snatch this kid away. It seems he has been cursed. Little did he know that these thoughts in his heart named Google were smugly laughing and wanting everyone to think that he had heard about a demon appearing to snatch this little brat away. It seemed he was already cursed. In response to his words, the blonde guy immediately criticized that it was not true that Master Isaac was involved in expelling that demon. The appearance of the demon was proof that he was very important. That's right, he possesses the divine power of a saint, a knight from behind added. But in response to their words, the guy named Gowell chuckled, as if he had heard something incredibly amusing. Ha ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. How long are you guys going to keep covering up for this trash? Don't joke with me. If you continue to call him the next saint, then show me his power. Next to the chatterbox, Whisper, as if fearing things weren't complicated enough, began to whisper hints to the protagonist. Why don't you show him your power? How about summoning a meteor? Summoning a meteor? What a load of nonsense, Jack replied angrily. As if thinking of a way to make things difficult for Isaac, the petty guy also glanced at a pitch-black tree behind him and suggested, sure, if you want to call him a saint, then that over there, the symbol of the family or whatever. Why not have him resurrect that thing he really likes? The divine tree died because of the dark magic of the demon. So if he truly has the qualifications to be a saint, he should easily resurrect that thing, right? That is, if he really is a candidate for sainthood, like you guys claim. He said this with a smile typical of a villain, and with this suggestion, Vailai hesitated a bit and asked, do you understand what you're saying? Not to mention him, even the shadowy chatterbox Whisper sneered at Gowell while Isaac looked down on Melissa, saying, you're very good at fighting, but your descendants are nothing to speak of. The eldest son is missing, and the second was adopted. Suddenly, Isaac's eyes widened as he discovered something. Wait, that thing. Without saying a word, Isaac grabbed Whisper's face tightly and threw it straight ahead with a speed that tore through the wind. But the two men didn't notice this strange action of Isaac because they were still busy dealing with each other. Riley questioned Gowell about this unreasonable request. A dead tree. 75. You want a child who hasn't even learned to speak. Before Riley could finish his sentence, the rustling sound of leaves colliding caught both of their attention. Turning around, they discovered the dead tree. In front of them, it was full of flowers and leaves, radiating vibrant life. The tree has come back to life, Riley said in astonishment. Seeing the flourishing tree in front of him, Gowell's face also turned blank. Even recovery and purification magic couldn't save it. What on earth happened, he muttered. And of course, this had to be credited to Isaac. Earlier, he had realized the problem with the tree, so he casually resolved it. There was a bit of dark magic nearby, so he stuffed it into Whisper at the same time. And Whisper also returned to Isaac's position. I absorbed all the mana over there. I'm so bloated. After saying that, he even burped loudly. The blonde knight, not understanding why the tree came back to life, also approached to ask, Riley, how did you do that with the tree? In response, Riley calmly said, I didn't do anything. Seeing this, the knight turned his gaze toward Isaac, who was still lamenting that letting Whisper absorb all that mana was such a waste. In response, Whisper, a bit annoyed, sarcastically, asked, do you want me to spit it back out? The conversation of both groups of knights around them began to get loud, startling Isaac. Master Isaac did that. On the other side, Gowell's face also twisted like a patient suffering from constipation for 3 years without relief. Although he had seen it with his own eyes, he still stubbornly denied it. No one in this family can save the tree. How can a little brat with a milk breath do that? Someone must have helped him. Before he could finish his sentence, he was drowned out by the praises of the knights. It's young Master Isaac first, he exorcised the demon, and now he purified to help the tree come back to life. Over here, Isaac was also lounging like a boss, seeing the crowd, not caring about his words. The little dog Gowell was also furious, clenching his fists and questioning Vailai. It was you, wasn't it? You had the support of the Saintess, and you staged this trash. You've always used dirty tricks, he said while gripping Vailai's collar. making a face like a rabid dog ready to bite. This guy should also take a look at his own dirty laundry to see who is really playing dirty here. What nonsense are you talking about? How could I meet the missing Saintess? Riley retorted, and around them, the group of knights became confused by the argument between the two. The protagonist's eyes also widened at the family feud. Melissa, you should focus on managing things at home more. Riley rebutted as the group of knights became confused by the argument between the two, while the protagonist's eyes widened in shock at the family feud. Melissa, you should focus more on managing things at home. Instead of going to eliminate that demon clan, the family has turned into a complete mess. But this person claiming to be a brother does not resemble Melissa at all. I even suspect that this is Melissa in disguise, responding to this statement, and Whisper immediately voiced his thoughts that he could be the illegitimate brother. Hearing this, Isaac's eyes widened, and he clapped his small hands together, saying, "Oh, right. I think he resembles that damn Pope more. I wonder if both of them think this way." The two Gowell continued to grab Isaac by the collar and relentlessly pressured him. "Don't pretend to be ignorant. Do you think I don't know? You brought this bastard here to elevate him to the next saint, didn't you? Even though I know there's already a candidate in the family, you still play this dirty game?" His words made Isaac's eyes begin to sparkle with excitement. Are there other candidates in the family? And that rogue wants that candidate to win. Looking at Isaac's delighted expression, Whisper also glanced at him and reminded, "You have to compete with those people. But looking at you, it seems you are not worried at all." In response, our protagonist also broke into a cunning smile. "You don't think the one supported by that guy is as wicked as he is, do you? If I can defeat someone like that, it would be so much fun." "Ah, yes, that makes sense." Whisper nodded in agreement, turning towards GLI, whose constant shouting and insults from that foolish Google were pushing him to his limits. "Endure it. Can you let the boy be at peace? That kid is your nephew and the son of our eldest brother. He has the right to inherit this family." Isaac's words made Gowell unable to hold back a laugh. "Ha ha, nonsense. His brother fled when the family was in danger. And now he brings back a kid claiming he is the son of our eldest brother." The more Gowell spoke, the angrier he became. Meanwhile, Isaac observed and began to understand why he was mistaken for so many things. "Ahaha, so that's why I'm the neglected child. I really do have a beautiful life." Isaac's tone was filled with sarcasm, a mouthy guy. Whisper also chimed in, "You shouldn't talk about your own life so indifferently." Speaking of Gowell, he suddenly broke into a cunning smile. "Well, that kid might be the son of the Saintess, but he could just be the illegitimate child of the Saintess that everyone brought back. But she's still the Saintess. Besides, how can we be sure he is the son of the eldest brother? Looking at his face, he is certainly beautiful, just like that woman. To benefit our family, we could sell him to continue the bloodline," he said with a smile, and this made GLI unable to contain his anger any longer. Immediately, he clenched his fist and delivered a punch straight to the face of the foolish Go, while causing blood to pour from his nose and his body trembled in pain. "Are you crazy? You just hit me. Do you think you can be safe after barking those words?" Riley exclaimed, while Isaac saw these two brothers fighting and felt like he had struck gold. "Oh, brothers love each other so much. Fighting hurts, huh? Thanks to them, I can gather more useful information. The more chaotic this family is, the better. It will be easier for me to take it over." Next, Vailai directly pinned Gowell to the ground and swung his fist at him. Seeing this scene, the knights around couldn't hold back anymore and rushed in. "Stop it, sir. You can't do that. Stop them." He damn family collapsed already." Isaac chuckled ominously, making the mouthy Whisper feel a bit uneasy and remind him, "Do you think if the family collapses, you won't go down with it? Has your brain shrunk to the size of a child's?" His words were too accurate, leaving Isaac with nothing to retort except to shout, "Shut up!" Time quickly passed, transitioning to a large room. At this moment, Isaac, with an annoyed expression, had to sit at the table. Surrounding him were countless influential people within the family. Seeing Isaac's demeanor, the group also felt uncomfortable, saying, "What will our son do with another son?" The incessant scrutinizing remarks drove Isaac mad. "Is there no one normal in this house? Treating the grandchildren like this is unacceptable." The kid complained during the meeting, and a voice began to express its opinion. "We have accepted that woman as the detestable Saintess. She shouldn't give birth to another useless son. She has no right to be a Saintess. You crazy bunch have gone too far." "Who?" Jack silently thought to himself. Then a woman resembling the head of the meeting spoke up. "Everyone silence, Violet. We have decided to raise that child in a small house out of sight." This woman is the second wife of the family head, Eli Joshua. Currently, she holds the position of family head, and her name is Hannah Joshua. She asked why Riley brought this child here. Isaac could clearly sense the hostility on her face. It turned out she was the one behind the people wanting to send him to the auxiliary building, and also the mother of that bastard cousin of his. Isaac quietly speculated while Google started banging the table, gritting his teeth, questioning the guy, Lie. "Our head of the family is asking, why aren't you responding?" Royale turned to Royale at this moment. As his gaze swept over the people in the meeting, he understood the reason why. "So father isn't here," he said softly that he had left town. "The situation of the Saint candidates is quite chaotic," Hannah replied slowly. "What a pity. Father should have heard the news that the direct grandson of the Isaac family has just revived the divine tree." The words of Lie startled everyone in the meeting, unable to hide their surprise in their eyes. They turned to look at each other. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became tense. An idiot Google quickly retorted that it was just a coincidence. How could a kid do that? It must be due to the prayers of the Joshua family that have been effective. On the other side, an old woman also spoke in agreement, I think so too, and even the clan leader couldn't find a solution. How could a child like him do that? I also agree that there is no evidence at all. The two ladies Hannah chimed in with a mocking tone. Hearing this, several other old men began to join in, vehemently denying Isaac's contribution to the revival of the divine tree. The head of the family is right. The revival of the divine tree is a good omen, but it cannot be confirmed that the kid did it. Returning to Isaac's perspective, he was already annoyed with the attitude of these people. Hearing them dare to dismiss his efforts, he wanted to teach them a memorable lesson. They wanted evidence. Here it is. Looking closely, he thought, and then he extended his small hand forward. Immediately, a blue energy began to gather before him, gradually forming a sparkling crystal. All the old men in the room were so astonished that they jumped out of their seats. This energy is the energy of the divine. The whole group gasped, and the atmosphere immediately became heavy. It seemed that Isaac had removed the mana from the divine tree. Vlai expressed his speculation. Although he had witnessed how the protagonist demonstrated his power, some old men in the meeting still couldn't accept this. What I know is that there is mana above the divine beast. But how could a newborn child remove it? Hearing this, an old woman in the meeting pondered and said, "Isn't that the only plausible reason? The boy created a physical form from mana." On the opposite side, an old man with a beard adjusted his glasses and said with difficulty, "Indeed, this exorcism method could be effective, but it certainly isn't that simple. If there were any mistakes, it could have killed the tree. The head of the family chose the purification method for a reason." Turning to the perspective of the Gowell, he gradually sensed. The elders in the family were accepting that Isaac possessed an enormous talent, and his face was filled with anxiety. What nonsense are they talking about? How could a newborn child do that? Speaking of the guy Vlay, he also spoke up to clarify for his nephew. Isaac must have instinctively exercised the mana. This child is still breastfeeding and has done something that no one in the Central Church could do for 75 years. Hearing his words, Jack puffed up with pride. Only Google couldn't accept this. He started banging the table and screaming like a madman. Elders, do you really believe in that absurdity? A newborn child exercising mana. He can't even talk yet. When the whole world knows about this, we will become a laughingstock. Look at that boy. Claiming to be a descendant of the Joshua clan is hard to believe. Who knows? Is the boy really the child of some obscure family? Refuting this, Riley also looked around at everyone in the meeting and asserted, "Dear elders, please listen to me. This child will become a saint. He could even become the next pope." "This boy has killed the undead demon," Riley said, while lifting Isaac's tiny body high. However, his previous words immediately changed Isaac's previously pleasant expression to one of anger. What the hell is this? Until just now, he was doing just fine. Isaac screamed a line in his heart while the elders began to gradually accept the existence of Isaac, the skeletal demon, that wretched creature. The group was annoyed by the two ladies' henna. Upon hearing this, a smug smile blossomed within her as if she was digging her own grave. Vailai thought then she suddenly made a suggestion. "If you are so confident, perhaps we should challenge the boy." They requested to use the treasure of the holy relics. Time quickly passed, transitioning to the northwest region of the Holy Kingdom of Hyla. In this dark forest, it was a gloomy area filled with sharp, thorny trees growing everywhere. The monsters were countless, but today the monsters inside the forest were also suffering from a massacre caused by a man. "This place is too chaotic," he complained while sheathing his sword. At that moment, a long-haired knight rushed to his back, knelt down on one knee, and spoke up. "I also agree with the head of the family." Upon hearing the familiar voice, the old man did not turn around but replied, "What is it?" The knight slowly said, "Your representative has requested to use the treasure." "The holy relics. I told you that the Holy See is not allowed to use it." The old man's voice was somewhat annoyed, but the knight explained, "Sir, it's not the Holy See. Your grandson has resurrected the divine tree. The representative wants to see if the boy possesses the qualities of a saint." Hearing this information, the old man's gaze changed slightly as he turned around and asked, "What do you mean? How can there be a saint in my family? I do not allow it. Only one saint can survive when entering there. Tell them to avoid unnecessary conflicts. No exceptions. This old man is the head of the Joshua Eli family." However, at this moment, another voice rang out from behind him. "Let them continue. You mean Isaac, who resurrected the divine tree." Quite impressive, isn't it? This young girl is the matriarch of the Joshua family and the former Saintess Melissa Joshua. Regarding this proposal, she even had a better idea. Since we have opened the treasury, why not allow all candidates, the Saintess and the Saint, can enter there, right? The knight was startled and hurriedly advised, "Yes. However, a child from another family might take something good from the treasury." In response, Melissa's face even showed some anticipation. "I hope so. Even the best Saintesses of the previous generation could not take anything from that treasury. Perhaps if someone could retrieve that item, they would be able to track and ultimately kill the skeletal demon. So we should place a reward in there, right?" Thinking this, she ordered the knight in front to tell them that the child who brings out the best treasure from the treasury will receive a reward that even the Pope cannot have. They will receive the family legacy of the Joshua family. And I will personally teach them the family's secret techniques, telling them that we will give them everything. She wanted to say this with a face full of excitement. As for the holy relics, it is a place that stores a secret technique. From thousands of years ago, along with the holy relics, a Saintess, always guarded the storage, and the Joshua family is believed to be the owner of the storage because only children under 10 years old can enter. Therefore, the storage has been used as a ritual for the Saintess candidates. They will go inside and choose something. Everyone has predicted the type of power that the Saintess might have based on the item that the child brings back. However, the storage is so dangerous that even the Saintess candidates could face life-threatening situations if they enter. After many deaths, the storage has been sealed. If our master survives and brings the treasure outside, thinking of this, Whisper chuckled softly, causing Isaac to feel very uncomfortable with his current expression. Why are you telling this story? But you are looking forward to it, aren't you? Master Whisper asked back, and Isaac nodded in acknowledgement. Of course. The corpse of the skeletal demon is said to be in there. The more he spoke, the more Isaac's breath became hurried, as if he was eagerly anticipating it. His current expression made Whisper feel a bit uneasy and slowly drift away, but he didn't wait for anyone to indulge in fantasies. The long-haired knight had picked him up. Are you excited, young master? The matriarch of the family has opened the treasury for all candidates. All the children from the 5 famous families will be here, although the cursed family of the Pope will also be present. But I am sure you will win, young master, he said, while juggling Isaac's small body in the air. Meanwhile, Whisper also speculated that it seemed like the people from the Joshua clan were about to make a big fuss, which was good news for Isaac, so he had nothing to complain about. This is a good thing. The more people there are, the more distractions there will be, making it easier for me to regain my body. At that moment, the guy Vailai, who appeared out of nowhere, reached out to support Isaac and said with a smile, "You have to be careful, Isaac. The demons captured from the battlefield will be guarding inside." Hearing this, Isaac was initially a bit stunned, but then he regained his confidence. Is it dangerous because there are demons guarding that place? But I'm sure they are all level 6 or lower or even weaker, so I just need to use suppression and it'll be fine. Just as Isaac was thinking this through, Railai had already placed him inside the cradle and continued. An 8th level demon is definitely not an easy opponent to deal with, although a 9th level dragon might be the worst. The blonde knight added, and Railai nodded in agreement. Perhaps so if we divide by rank. Turning to Isaac's perspective at this moment, he truly could not understand the way the clan thought. What is this Joshua clan all about? What is an 8th level demon doing in there? Not to mention him even Whisper sighed and shook his head in frustration. The entire Joshua clan must have lost their minds. A dragon in a place where a bunch of kids will come, but at least you know a lot about dragons. Master, the owner of this black cloud, said, while turning to observe his little master. But the only thing he could see was Isaac's panicked appearance, his whole body trembling uncontrollably. What now? Damn it, dragons are dangerous in another way. I've tricked them several times already. Hearing this, Whisper's face also changed slightly. Then asked cautiously, what number are we talking about? Perhaps about 70 times. Isaac's voice was uncertain. At the same time, he began to remember the furious faces of the dragons when they discovered they had been tricked. That bastard had fooled even the young dragons. What the hell did you sell to those kids? They aren't even 300 years old yet. You even tricked the old ones. We will tear you apart, you damn skeleton. Temporarily setting aside the terrifying faces of the dragons, Isaac was also worried, thinking, this is bad, they have very good memories, they can recognize my soul. Hearing this, Whisper seemed to exhale a sigh of relief. It seems like this is a good time for me to change masters. I heard that. Who Jack gritted his teeth and reminded him. This really left him with no other choice. In the treasure trove of holy relics, there are level 6 monsters and a 9th level dragon. Right now, he could only deal with level 6 monsters. To fight them, we need to steal all the mana cores from the Joshua clan and head to the auxiliary building. Isaac thought to himself and clenched his fists with determination. Time quickly passed to ensure the plan to infiltrate the auxiliary building and steal the mana cores would be successful. Our protagonist, Isaac, also began to bury himself in studying. However, his current state was somewhat off, causing his subordinate. Whisper felt a bit worried and asked, Master, are you okay? You look like you're about to be purified. By his gaze, Isaac's face had hollowed out as if he had been starving for many days. The book in his hand was a guide to spells 10 ways to tear apart the Bone King. Looking at what was written inside this book, Jack couldn't help but curse. Damn it, if I could master the holy power, learning these spells would be as easy as flipping my hand, but the more I read, the more discouraged I get. He thought to himself and mumbled. Now I just need to manipulate his mind and make him teach me, and it will be done. Next to him, the chatty Whisper immediately guessed Isaac's intention and clapped in support. Master, you want to use dark magic among the clergy. So, are you planning to bury this house and play the role of a real demon? Seeing his subordinate always stirring things up, Jack really had some doubts about this guy's sanity. But what happened to your personality over the past 155 years? He couldn't fully understand this mess of theories and rubbed his eyes as if feeling a bit sleepy. After all, his current body was still just that of a child. Next to him, the handsome mixed race guy heard his yawning and picked him up. Noticing how tired he looked, guessing that he must have had a very busy day. Hearing this, Isaac nodded in agreement, thinking to himself that children his age needed to sleep 16 hours a day to be enough. After that, Riley slowly placed Isaac in his crib and began to use a spell called Regeneration, causing Isaac's entire body to be enveloped in a stream of golden holy light, which he immediately felt. All his fatigue was completely swept away, making him feel invigorated, as if he could knock down 10 bulls with one punch. Oh, this is a wonderful spell. Go ahead, cast an attack spell. Isaac thought excitedly, trying to climb out of the crib, but seeing this, the chatty one Whisper, immediately stopped him. Please stay still. You need to get to the annex building as soon as possible. You can't hide here forever, right? His reminder made Jack wake up quickly. He hurriedly lay down in the crib pretending to sleep to avoid attracting the attention of the two in front. Right. The annex building, I need to get these people out of here as quickly as possible. With that, Isaac began to roll over and sleep, but his clumsy acting made Whisper feel embarrassed for him. Who would believe this act? He scolded. But the two men across from him believed it wholeheartedly, showing no signs of doubt at all. Isaac sleeps really fast. With a wonderful child, everything is quick. Both smiled, making Whisper's head feel confused. These guys must be crazy. They really believe it, Whisper shouted in his heart. Seeing Isaac was asleep, Riley invited the blonde knight to leave the room. It's late. Let's go outside. Yes, I need to go train anyway. The knight nodded in response after seeing them prepare to leave the room. Jack chuckled as if he had achieved his goal, while only Whisper felt a bit frustrated. It's amazing to fool a whole group of people. Whisper's voice was filled with mockery, but just before they completely left the room, the knight suddenly said something that startled Jack. However, the artifact seems very dangerous. I think we should take it outside. It is a valuable artifact. The first belonging to Isaac, so let's ensure it's safe. We'll display it in the most visible place. Yes, sir, the excited knight replied. Only Isaac, lying far away, felt so worried that he was sweating. He still needed to recover it. Oh my god, my artifact. I haven't even extracted mana from it yet. Thinking of this, tears streamed down the little boy's face, soaking a large part of the mattress. After waiting for everyone to leave and the door to close, Isaac immediately sprang up like a machine. All the sadness from earlier vanished. In that case, I'll drain the mana core in the annex building. Let's get started. With that, he raised his tiny hand to grip the railing of the crib tightly and slowly climbed out. Meanwhile, Whisper looked at his short legs with a bit of concern and reminded him, Are you really planning to sneak to the annex building? Will you make it there today? In response, Isaac said he had a way and asked Whisper to open the door for him. Yes, of course. I will obey, but there's no way I'm carrying you there. Whisper replied reluctantly, but then after trying to open the door, his eyes showed surprise as he delivered some bad news to the main character. Your uncle has locked the door, the lock system is on the outside, and he even cast a spell. Hearing this, Isaac's face turned pale with anger. That annoying uncle! Break the door down, Isaac demanded, but Whisper was very clear-headed and refused immediately. They'll think you're being attacked and swarm in here. Returning to Isaac's perspective, the plan to steal the mana core had already died in its infancy, making him even angrier. The little boy began to extend his tiny hand. He pounded on the wooden door. I'm going crazy. I'm banging on the wooden door. I'm going crazy here. I can't stand the whispers from here to there. If I use magic, everything will get even worse. How can I escape this? The more I think, the more his face becomes grim. But just at that moment, the door suddenly swings open from the outside, causing his small body to be thrown back, and the one who just entered is a brown-haired boy. Seeing Isaac's figure right by the door, he couldn't help but exclaim, This kid can't even walk yet. Why is he so close to the door? This boy is the son of Gowell Joshua, a candidate for the priesthood from the Joshua family. Suri Joshua, 5 years old, turned back to Isaac and he began to feel a liquid. Some dampness was flowing down from his nose. He raised his small hand to wipe it and immediately saw that he was bleeding from his nose and glared at the boy. Is this guy my enemy? Next to him, Whisper was also furious, shouting, He dares to harm my master. Unaware of Isaac's thoughts, the boy Suri was tightly gripping the cursed hand he had before with his left hand, while also thinking, a relic that even a genius like me can't create. There is no way this kid could create it. I am the one deserving of sainthood. Do you dare to covet what belongs to me? This is how I escaped from the name of that hacker just mentioned. This kid has just begun to use his holy power. He created a small beam of light above his head, as if he wanted to use some magic. But before he could act, our protagonist merely waved his finger. He immediately controlled the toy beside him to smash straight into Suri's face, causing his spell to abruptly stop. Isaac even pointed at him and laughed loudly. Ha ha, found a horse to ride. Do you know who I am? Suri questioned, while Isaac just needed to glance at his appearance. He could already guess this guy's identity. You look just like that thug princess, so you must be his son. I saw you channeling mana to attack me. You know, this kid deserves what he gets. The boy began to grab the toy in his hand. He swung it straight forward as fast as a machine, causing the boy, Suri, to hug his head and fall flat on the ground, enduring the hit. Seeing Isaac's excited demeanor when hitting others, Whisper couldn't help but praise him. That was a great hit, master, haha. Get ready to be a horse for my brother to ride, Jack excitedly said. But Suri was still a candidate for the same position. This kid was not someone easy to bully. After calming down a bit, the boy Suri focused his magic into his arm, creating a shield and knocking Isaac's toy far away. Seeing this, Isaac's face also showed astonishment. You think you're better than everyone else? Surprised at my age, no one has been able to use 3rd level defensive holy power yet. This is a bit early for you. Saying that, the boy became serious. He gathered energy into the palms of his hands and used the 3rd level holy power attack skill, Holy Light. 2 blue orbs of light were created and shot straight towards the protagonist. Take this! Suri shouted, looking at the 2 energy orbs rushing straight at him. Jack's small mouth also opened wide. Impressive, you summoned 2 beams of holy light. But thanks for the meal. The protagonist smirked, and then a blue energy shield appeared to protect him, preventing the 2 energy orbs from even touching Isaac beside him. Seeing this scene, Suri was so scared that he almost cried. How could the defensive spell be amplified like this? How do you know how to use it when I haven't taught it to you yet? Next, Suri was even more surprised to see Isaac just wave his hand and create countless floating energy orbs around him. Then the boy waved his hand, immediately controlling all those energy orbs to rush straight at Suri, accompanied by the boy's shrill scream beside him. The loquacious whisper was worried that Isaac had sold Suri for salt. He also reminded the protagonist, "Master, it seems you think this is good, but is it okay to directly kill a member of the family?" Hearing that, Jack frowned and said, "What do you mean by killing? I just wanted to teach him a lesson." At this moment in front, after waiting for the explosion to subside, the curled-up figure of the kid Suri appeared. None of the hits earlier had landed. Jack simply wanted to scare this kid Suri a little. Meanwhile, Suri felt that his current appearance was somewhat pathetic, so he shyly turned to the main character and said, "You can't even hit us, so don't surprise me like that. No matter what holy technique you use, you cannot lay a hand on a candidate for sainthood like me." Just as the words were about to leave his mouth, a chilling and murderous voice echoed from behind Suri. "How dare you attack my king? Are you wishing for death?" The owner of this voice was the Dark Lich, just released by Isaac. Seeing the terrifying appearance of the Dark Lich, Suri was so scared that he fell to the floor, trembling like a little sheep. Meanwhile, Isaac climbed onto the Lich's shoulder and smirked. "What are you doing?" "Take me away, you bastard Suri Joshua. In the future, I will become a saint. I will escape the cursed Joshua family and become the Pope." "But what the hell is this damn kid doing?" Suri sighed inwardly. At this moment, he was carrying Isaac on his shoulders and was starting to huff and puff like a tired ox, but it seemed Isaac didn't notice this about our main character. Still tightly holding the toy in his hand, he pointed straight ahead and excitedly shouted, "Let's go to the auxiliary building." Hearing this, Suri also irritably looked up and questioned, "Why are you doing this?" "Do you know who I am?" Before the kid could finish his sentence, the loyal subordinate, the Dark Lich, appeared beside him and warned, "Move, before I tear you into 100 pieces, you despicable insect." Hearing this threat, Suri immediately swallowed hard tears streaming down his face, reminding himself to focus on surviving first. "Someone save me." Time was quickly passing. "I wonder if it's because I'm too tired from carrying Isaac." Suri's steps were unsteady, making Isaac a bit annoyed. "Do you want to die? Get it together?" The main character reminded him, but of course what he uttered was just the sound EA of a newborn baby. As for Suri, this kid really couldn't understand where Jack wanted to take him. "Where do you plan to go at this late hour?" He sighed, but just a second later, Suri received the answer. Looking at the scene before him, the young master's face instantly turned pale. This is the second auxiliary building of the Joshua family, the haunted house. Why did this crazy guy bring me here? Many people have died here, so the head of the family forbids anyone from entering. The more he thought about it, the more Suri's body trembled. Only Isaac, who came to the house, laughed as if he was in a good mood after activating his sensing ability once again. Whisper leaned into Isaac's ear and whispered, "Hehehe, it seems there are several dozen who risked their lives training for about 15 years just to gather a drop of mana." Hearing this, Jack's face also broke into a mischievous smile. He quickly urged Suri to move forward, but of course, how could the kid Suri easily agree to this? "You want me to go in there? No way. We can't go in there. The adults have warned us not to." In response to his words, the terrifying face of the Lich appeared. "Shut up and go." The kid had no choice. Under the threat of Isaac's group, Suri had to reluctantly open the door and step inside the building. His rapid breathing echoed in the silent hallway. Isaac took the opportunity to observe the surroundings and shook his head in disdain. "It's much worse inside." Suddenly, Isaac's eyes widened. It was as if he had discovered something. At the same time, the talkative whisper had also finished checking around and said in frustration, "The entire building has been sealed. Master, every door has something like a protective barrier." "What a hassle." Isaac sighed and sprawled on Suri's head while Suri was so scared he was about to wet his pants. "Hey, let's go back. Everything in here is locked up," the little boy said fearfully. However, Isaac paid no attention to the mood of the kid below. He began to grab Suri's hair, directing him towards the paintings hanging on the wall. Suri was a bit surprised. "Oh, these are the previous family heads, haha. And now you're aiming for the position of family head too. It's pointless. The next family head will be me." Ignoring this, the main character began to channel a bit of magic into his toy and threw it forward like a firecracker, hitting so hard that it made the painting immediately shatter into many pieces. Suri's eyes bulged out. If the adults at home found out, "I brought this kid here to smash these paintings, so Suri is done for." However, that was not the end. Isaac began to control this toy to smash all the remaining paintings, causing Suri's scalp to go numb. "Oh my god, our ancestors. Are you crazy? What are you doing with the family heads?" But for Isaac, of course, he wasn't foolish enough to create such unnecessary chaos. Jack discovered that someone had placed a barrier over the paintings, which is why he acted to destroy them. At the same time, the Chatty Whisper also returned to report that the barrier had been broken, Master. Hearing this, Isaac couldn't help but smile. "Good then, let's go." Saying that, Isaac jumped off Suri's back and began to roll away quickly like a ball, causing Suri to panic again. "Hey, where are you going? Are you crazy? After causing such a mess, where do you think you're going?" Not answering this question, Isaac's body continued to roll quickly like a ball until he crashed into a room filled with mana cores. Inside, Amazing Whisper locked the door. Behind him, the little boy Suri was also rushing to catch up. Seeing the storage door slowly closing, Isaac shouted in panic, "Stop! What are you doing?" "Hey kid, a child like you doesn't need to know," Isaac thought, while smiling mischievously. After waiting for the door to close completely, his expression became serious. "Now let's get started. As these words were spoken, dark magic sources from all sides slowly converged towards the main character. Meanwhile, Suri outside was desperately banging on the door, simultaneously urging Isaac to come out quickly. I will tell the adults everything. I will tell everything and make you get kicked out of here. But it's a bit unfortunate for Suri. He didn't need to report this to the adults anymore because the group of adults led by the guy, Jailai, had already arrived at this place. Hey Suri, what are you doing here? A familiar voice rang out from behind, startling the little boy who turned around. Oh, uncle, you came at the right time, Jack. That monster didn't give Suri a chance to report the situation. An old woman scolded, What do you think you're doing, Suri? No matter what reason you know you're not allowed to enter the old building. What were you thinking bringing Isaac here? Do you know how many people saw you carrying Isaac here on your back? Moreover, in Isaac's room, there are traces of holy attack magic. You are the one responsible for all of this, right? The questioning voices of the adults made Suri a bit scared, stammering to explain. No, it's true that I brought him here and part of the holy attack magic is mine, but in response to this, Riley gently placed a hand on Suri's shoulder and said, Suri, this time you've gone too far. No matter what you have disturbed a child who hasn't even weaned yet. Where have you locked Isaac up? Looking at his situation not being trusted by the adults, the boy was so upset that he was about to cry. I didn't lock him up anywhere. Isaac went in by himself, and just as those words fell suddenly, the sound of Isaac crying loudly echoed. Seeing this, Riley hurriedly went towards the door asking, Isaac, are you in there? As he spoke, he gently pushed the door open and discovered Isaac's extremely sorrowful appearance inside. Looking at his current state, those around couldn't help but feel a bit scared. Are you okay? Oh my god, look at the boy. He looked so frightened. Riley picked Isaac up into his arms and patted his head to comfort him. Luckily, you're still safe. The boy seemed scared, but it seems nothing happened. Next, he coldly glanced at Suri and said, Suri, you should feel ashamed of yourself towards Suri, even though right now, no matter how many words he wants to say in his heart, he can't justify it anymore. It's not like that really, he said with a frustrated expression. At the same time, Isaac in front broke into a cunning smile. Thank you, thanks to you, I had a delicious meal. Looking at the main character's face, all of Suri's frustration vanished, replaced by extreme anger. That damn name didn't care about Suri's meaningless anger. Our main character began to chuckle inwardly. The result of this trip exceeded expectations. The amount of mana obtained was even more than I thought. In just one go, I absorbed an amount of mana equivalent to 100 years of hard training. With this much mana, I can finally carry out that plan. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth lifted into a giggle, while Uncle Riley thought Isaac was scared, feeling even more guilty for not taking better care of him. It seems Isaac is really very frightened. Time quickly passed. By the next morning, Uncle Riley finally brought a girl in front of Isaac and introduced her. I want to introduce you to someone. This is Axili. From now on, she will be your assistant. Next to the girl with short hair also spoke up. My name is Axili, LRCHG, the Holy Knight of the Joshua family. I will serve you until death. Saying that, she knelt down on one knee in front of Isaac. However, for our main character, having an additional bodyguard only made him feel more troubled and exhausted. Perhaps they sent someone to supervise him because of the previous incident. Who? Jack thought to himself. Then he began to point his tiny hand at Ashley and said, Hey, you go away. Get out of my sight. After saying that, he raised both hands high, putting on a very fierce look. This startled the two people in front. Young Master Riley let me pinch the cheek of young Master Jack once, she said with a flushed face and a very hurried breath. Meanwhile, Isaac couldn't understand why this place was filled with so many crazy people. Putting this aside, Vailai also took out a ring from inside his coat pocket and gently said, This is a gift from your uncle. Seeing that, Isaac also reached out to take the old ring, unable to help, but wonder if his uncle had picked his ring out of the trash. Even that chatterbox whisper. Felt a bit embarrassed and flew away a little. I thought I misheard, but it seems the Joshua family is really in financial crisis. How could he call this a gift? Worthy of the first birthday of the master, right? Unlike their reactions, Axili, as soon as she saw this ring, gasped and exclaimed, Oh my god, isn't this the heirloom of the Saintess? Hearing that, Jack's face also changed. He hurriedly looked back at the ring to see what was so special about it that it became the heirloom of the Saintess. Meanwhile, Riley also patted the main character's head and said that he had to take it from the council for Isaac not to notice this after just a little observation. Isaac realized the special thing about the ring. Yes, it's the real deal. This is the ring that the Saintess used in the battle against me before. The ancient ring contains a bit of holy power hidden within it. Amazing. It seems it will break after just 1 or 2 uses, but I have a way to fix it. Thinking about suddenly having a nice item, the main character couldn't help but smile. But then a displeased gaze from afar began to make Jack frown, observing these uncomfortable looks, of course coming from the foolish Gowell. The expression on that guy's face assured that this was real. He glared at his precious nephew, as if he wanted to eliminate him. Isaac muttered to himself. Then suddenly, for some reason, this Gowell changed his attitude, coming with a cheerful face in front of the group. Haha, my precious nephew Isaac. Oh, you are so adorable. I hope you feel comfortable here, he said while forcing a smile. Hearing this, Isaac felt a bit scared at how this guy suddenly changed his attitude so much. What the hell is going on? So creepy. The boy screamed in his heart, while Whisper also thought that the guy in front of him might have gone crazy. Speaking of Go, well, of course he approached Isaac with his own agenda. What he wanted was the filthy ring in Isaac's hand. This matter should be talked about some time ago. Damn it, everything is too complicated. I ruined the blessing device in the Holy Relics so it couldn't receive the blessing, but unexpectedly they replaced it with the Heirloom of the Saintess, like this. Because Isaac didn't receive the blessing, they had to give this to him. The old lady smiled and said, and the guy from the GLI family happily accepted the ring only Go. Well, standing beside, felt startled by the gift. The Heirloom of the Saintess. Why give that to your child, you fool? He spoke up pleadingly by regarding his words. Gia also felt a bit annoyed and waved him off. Give it to Suri. Isn't it true that it has already received the blessing from the Holy See? Don't be greedy, just go back and think about it. Google was so furious that he ground his teeth audibly. I was going to pretend to donate to the Holy See while taking it away. He couldn't possibly understand the true value of the artifact. The family heirloom. Where did that come from? Google began to turn on his acting mode and adjusted his tone to one of regret. If I had to choose a gift, I should have chosen something better. How can something so useless be considered useless? Why are you speaking of the Saint's artifact like that? Vailai spoke up to question this statement. Gowell also pulled out a small box from his pocket. Isn't Jack also my precious nephew? How could I give him this useless thing? This ring has been bestowed many blessings directly from the Holy See. In this treasure trove, this is definitely much more useful. Moreover, this is an incredibly valuable item. Riley could never have it right. Now hand me that old dirty ring, he said while showing Isaac his ring, intending to exchange it for the Saint's ring. If Isaac were just an ordinary child, he might have been attracted by the sparkling light from Gowell's ring. But unfortunately for him, inside this tiny body is the Demon King. Isaac didn't need to say much, he could already guess the wicked intentions of this villain. So he gave him a slap to the face. Get lost with this trash, isn't it emitting the foul stench of the Pope? Get away from me, Isaac thought as he threw the ring box into the fountain beside him, causing Gowell to panic. He hurriedly asked some nearby servants, what are you doing? Quickly go find the ring. Turning to Riley, he seemed to not understand the true value of the Saint's ring. So when he saw Isaac throw away that precious item, he was somewhat confused. That ring is worth 1,000 times more than what I gave that kid, yet he still chose my gift. Thinking about it, looking at the smiling face of the main character, this guy, Lai, couldn't help but start to toss him up in the air. Isaac, my beloved nephew, from now on, I will give you the best things. Hooray for young Master Isaac! On the other side, Gowell's group was still struggling to find the ring, but no matter what, they couldn't find it. Go find it at all costs, even risking your lives for it, Google. He roared while Jack smiled smugly, seeing them struggle like that. We have cast the wait spell already, so they will never be able to find it. Hearing this, the talkative one Whisper turned to give him an admiring look. Indeed, the master. Determined never to touch a stinky artifact, you are truly admirable. Whisper's expression was very cheerful before Isaac spoke the next words. Pick it up tomorrow, the main character said coldly. Whisper's face changed immediately upon hearing that. What me could it be, me? That thing is very valuable, so I will sell it. The kid silently planned in his head as time quickly passed. Because he couldn't find the ring, Google could only angrily return to his room and vent his anger on the table. That damn kid, doesn't he know how valuable that is? Oh, fine, whatever. I bet he doesn't even know how to use his ring. That thing can only be used by someone who can't use holy magic. It requires absorbing the holy power of at least 20 people to activate it. This is impossible. I wonder if even 10 people will come to his birthday. Just thinking about the scene of Isaac's birthday party being as empty as a deserted temple was enough to make Gowell's mood cheerful. However, everything was completely different from what he thought. The next day, when Isaac's birthday party took place, the room was filled with the laughter and joy of everyone. In Isaac's resting room, the girl actually was hugging the main character, observing the scene below through the window. Wow, there are more than 148 saint candidates, including nobles and servants, a total of about 4,000 people present today. All the Duke families have come along with 10 marquee families. The Emperor is also here, and even other countries have sent saint candidates. Isn't that wonderful? For Isaac, the little guy began to sigh like a dried fish, looking completely lifeless. Indeed, Isaac wanted many people to come to make it easier to act, but this many people was too much. Indeed, Isaac wanted more people around to make it easier to act, but this many people is just too much. Oh my, why are there so many candidates for the Saintess? The lazy gods are dragging them everywhere. They really are the type to do that whispering in agreement. Even GLI is a bit surprised by the current situation. I didn't think of this. I thought no one would come because they thought it was a trap. In response to this, suddenly the door of the room opened and a cheerful voice rang out. But of course they wouldn't think this is a trap, right? My friend, it's been a while since we last met. Riley, the handsome guy. With this friendly demeanor, he is the head of one of the 3 merchant associations in the Empire, and Riley's closest friend, Count Simon Aegis. Hearing the familiar voice, Vailai also turned towards the source of the sound, and exclaimed in surprise, Simon, you're here too. Of course I am. After all, the rumors have spread throughout the Empire. So naturally I had to come. Everyone knows this isn't a trap, so they decided to participate. Anyway, all the weak boys from the Joshua family are here, haha. Not to mention what the head of the Joshua family has bet. How could I not come? Even the papal family will be here. He said with a smile, leaving Isaac confused about what this betting was about. On the other side, Riley shook his head in rebuttal. Don't talk nonsense. There's no way the papal family would participate. In response, Simon just shrugged and said, I'm just guessing. No way those distant royals would show up in the territory of the Joshua family. They hate this place because there are too many commoners except for the Beriza family. His words were somewhat dismissive, causing Riley to hurriedly stop his friend. Simon toned it down a bit. Why must it be like this? My son Ramoen is also a candidate for the Saintess. This event is organized by the Joshua family, so the papal family has no reason to participate. But you still need to be careful with your words, Violet reminded once again. However, Simon seemed not to care much about this warning. Don't pay attention to those guys. They always look like they just stepped in dung. Just as his words dropped from outside the door, the annoying voice of Hirai rang out. Or rather, there's nothing more dangerous than a vulgar friend. Indeed, the wisdom of the ancients is never wrong. Looking at his demeanor, Simon had shrunk back, no longer looking as relaxed as before. Even Vailai was a bit wary of his presence. In front, Cardinal Hira continued. Think about it. The weak man of the Joshua family is organizing such an event. I hope your child can bring something from the holy relics to save face for this family. I'm curious to see how the dumb child dares to declare himself a candidate for the Saintess. Yet I still haven't met him, but anyway, this is an opportunity for him to sincerely pray that the saint candidate can elevate his family's reputation. The wicked man outwardly said he was praying, but his expression shows no sign of hoping for Jack to perform well. Turning to the corner where Riley was, the fact that Hirai personally came here made him start to feel an invisible pressure. Was this a scam orchestrated by the Holy Light? The number of saint candidates increased from 25 to 148 just last week, which was already very strange. The only reason is that the Holy See is turning a blind eye to the candidates appearing from nowhere. Everyone wants to see their child as a saint candidate. When such children are brought into the Holy Vault, they cannot avoid trying. Eliminating the weakest opponents, they might even harm the boy in the chaos. If that happens, then Jack will be in danger, he thought as he turned to look at his nephew who was still sitting and picking his nose. A boy from the Joshua family, aside from his prominent appearance and the family's reputation, he is completely useless. However, for those who want to seize the superiority of the Joshua family, or those who want to gain the favor of the papal family. Those who hate the lineage of the Saintess, that child from the Joshua family is nothing more than a perfect target for everyone to aim at. So let's mess with this dumb child a bit, make sure he doesn't die, but can't do anything. Let's mix this poison into his water and use the holy poison. Teach this kid how cruel the world can be. Turn him into a joke in front of everyone and proclaim to the world that the child of the Joshua family can never become a saint. Yes, those were the instructions from some wicked men to their descendants. However, at this moment, the scene before them left all the surrounding children in a daze. Isaac had consumed all 10 bottles of water containing the poison without showing a single negative reaction. How many bottles had he drunk? The scene before them left all the children around in a daze. Isaac had consumed all 10 jars of poison without showing a single negative reaction. How many bottles has he drunk anyway? A confused child said, as Isaac finished drinking a whole bottle of water in his hand, he casually threw the empty bottle at a brown-haired boy not far away and shouted to bring more. This poison isn't enough to harm me anymore. Give me more, the boy said while waving the bottle in his hand, causing the kids around him to step back in fear while the brown-haired boy was so scared that he started to cry. I wish to go home immediately on the other side. A white-haired child whispered to his friend, What's wrong with that boy? I thought you put laxatives inside. In response, the blonde boy, also confused, said that he might have grabbed the wrong bottle. Whispers continuously echoed. But how could they escape the ears of that kid, Suri? At this moment, the boy had his hands on his face in despair. Why does he keep drinking those drugged bottles? It's really embarrassing. Don't tarnish the name Joshua anymore. Clearly, the saint candidate has issues, he thought, as if unable to contain his anger any longer. Suri directly approached Isaac, snatched the water bottle from his hand and shouted, Stop drinking. Don't you feel anything? If you want to drink this, he said while handing Isaac a safe bottle of water that wasn't poisoned. It's just a pity that Suri's kindness was misplaced towards the protagonist. This poison was actually the best tonic. So when he saw his water bottle being snatched away, how could he hold back? Isaac immediately threw the ordinary water bottle back at Suri's face and turned to yell at a few kids nearby. It's not poison? Give me the one with super toxins, he said. But of course, the surrounding kids couldn't understand the words of such a madman. They just stood there puzzled, wondering why Isaac was so hyperactive. On the other side, a brown-haired boy trembled as he pulled out a water bottle and stammered, But this is the holy poison. Hearing this, a girl was so scared that she quickly repeated, Are you crazy? If he drinks that, it's the end. Turning to the protagonist's perspective, just hearing the name Holy Poison made his eyes light up like 2 stars. Then he immediately lunged forward. Give it to me. Just like that, the whole group began to scramble for it. Looking at this scene, the other children were smart enough not to intervene. Instead, they huddled together, continuously discussing. It seems like he has extraordinary poison resistance. I heard that a person can reach a natural level that destroys toxins while training holy power. What do you mean? Has he reached that level already? But why does he only target the poison bottles? Could it be that he wants to ensure that others can't drink because it's dangerous? On the other side, the boy Suri sat blankly against the wall, like someone who had lost all faith, listening to the children of his age discussing Isaac like that. He thought to himself ridiculous, and just then a child in a white robe approached Suri's position and spoke in a somewhat mocking tone. Really, you mean he is sacrificing himself. Looking at this child's face, Suri seemed to immediately recognize its identity and could no longer keep calm. Kina Barrett. How did he end up here? I haven't heard anything about the Pope's family participating. This kid is a direct descendant of the Pope's family. Kina Barrett, Suri thought in horror. And of course, the other children quickly recognized Kina's identity, unable to hide their astonishment on their faces. Wait, that's Suri Barrett. But why is the Pope's family present in the treasure vault of the Saintess? Oh, so we already know who the winner is, returning to the protagonist's position. At this moment, he had successfully defeated his opponent and occupied the seat on the back of that boy, leisurely enjoying this wonderful poison while also glancing at that Kina. Oh, so this is the kid who is basically guaranteed to become a saint. But can that pure hair color also be found in the Pope's family Barry? Is it dyed hair? All the other kids from that family have hair that looks like dung, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, the boy Suri began to explain why he was here. The story of the Papal family's appearance in the Saint's treasure vault is nothing unusual. The Papal family is the leader of all sects, so the Saint's treasure also belongs to our family. We are simply here to collect what is rightfully ours. Why do you find it strange? The arrogant little brat said something that left the kids around feeling confused, while others sneered in disdain at his arrogant way of speaking. He really does come from the Papal family. But that kid is a true monster. Just the amount of resistance he exudes surpasses that of a bishop truly the #1 candidate for sainthood. Up ahead, this little brat began to act like a good person, while belittling the rest using that crude method to humiliate the host. What makes you think you can call yourselves candidates for sainthood? How pathetic harassing a child is nothing to be proud of. A child cannot possibly have the ability to resist poison. He must be protected by the power of the saint. He said this while gently sitting in front of Isaac, who sighed and thought to himself, his family really has inherited stupidity. Unaware of these thoughts in his head, Kina began to gather 2 sources of holy power in his palms and gently said, "Poor thing, don't worry, let me detoxify you," looking at the source of power in his hands. The kids around were in awe, wondering if he could really use holy magic to detoxify. Look at the size of his holy power. It must be at least level 5. Returning to Isaac, he quickly guessed the purpose of this little brat Kina wanting to detoxify him. This little brat is standing here. Is he planning to use me to show off his skills? You're pretty clever, I admit that, but it's going to take a long time. Thinking this, not allowing Kina to achieve his goal, Isaac raised his small arm and gave the little brat in front of him a slap to the face. After this hit from Isaac, it seemed that Kina's holy power was also struck. The holy power vanished, and a brown-haired boy shouted out, while Kina himself was stunned, not understanding what had just happened. His holy power was dispelled. No way could a little brat like him be stronger than me, a bug from the Joshua family. The more he thought about it, the tighter Kina clenched his fist and glared at Isaac with a look of deep resentment, while our protagonist noticed this look and didn't hesitate. Turning back to confront him, the little brat said, "What are you looking at? I'll smash this bottle on your head." Before he could finish his words, the little brat Suri rushed in to interrupt and hugged Isaac tightly. "No, don't do that," he shouted while the kids around began to look at both of them with disdain. He was watching over him because they were family, right? He just slapped the face of the person trying to save him. How disrespectful. Do they really think they have a chance to go against the Papal family? Does he really think he can protect him? The sounds of disdain kept ringing out, making Jack so angry that his eyes bulged, while Suri silently cursed the people around. "If it weren't for me, you would have been knocked out already." Speaking of the kid Kina, although it was a bit surprising, he quickly regained his composure and spoke up to mediate, saying, "It's okay, we must have caught him off guard after all. He is still just a baby." "Well then, good luck to the children of the Joshua family. At least you should try to gather the mud to save face for the family." But of course the best treasure here will be mine, the family heirloom. Joshua didn't even dare to approach the corpse of the skeletal demon, yet he acted like this. With utter disdain, the kid Kina turned and walked away, and watching his back. Suri also became frustrated. He really is an annoying little brat causing a ruckus for no reason. Ignoring this, Isaac below immediately reached out and grabbed Suri's hair tightly, shouting loudly, "What did that white-haired bastard say? What did he say about the corpse of the skeletal demon?" Up front, seeing Isaac going crazy, Kina panicked and asked, "What suddenly happened to you?" "Don't push me anymore. The head of the family promised to grant the secret technique to whoever brings the corpse of the skeletal demon here." Hearing this explanation from Suri, Isaac became dazed and extremely angry. "Melissa, are you playing with my corpse?" Time quickly passed while the other children were still wandering around talking to each other. Jack was just drinking poison and staring blankly at the ceiling. Recalling his glorious past, he had accumulated mana equivalent to centuries within his body. If he could harness it, reaching level 10 would be no big deal. But now these kids were watching everywhere, so there was no way to sneak it out. Thinking of this, Isaac also became frustrated and scanned the surroundings, making all the children too afraid to look him in the eye. Even Suri beside him felt a bit shaky. Then, as if realizing that being angry with the kids wouldn't solve anything, Jack could only throw the empty bottle aside in frustration and sighed. "Oh well, whoever gets in my way, I'll just step over them." At that moment, a bishop walked in and reminded all the children, "Everyone gather here. You all need to leave soon, so from now on, pay attention to what I say." This treasure trove of relics is a sacred site that holds the achievements of the saints of the past. Blah blah back to Isaac. He had no time to listen to these prehistoric stories. He had already started recounting history. At this rate, when will we ever leave? So boring, I'm out of here, he thought to himself as he turned and crawled to the side, causing the kid Suri next to him to be a bit confused and ask, "Hey, where are you going?" Without answering the question, Isaac's small foot lightly kicked, and his whole body shot forward like a small truck, leaving behind a trail of dust that left everyone stunned. Elder Isaac was, Suri said in confusion. This is Isaac's holy skill, the divine speed helping him even as a newborn to crawl like the wind on the road at an incredible speed, just in time to use the holy technique he just learned. Ajax cheerfully said something, but looking in the direction he was moving, the elder behind was startled and shouted loudly, "Ajax, no! That's a forbidden area. If you go in that direction, all the traps in the relic warehouse will be activated." His words made all the remaining kids so scared that their faces turned purple like pig liver. Then, without anyone telling them, they all rushed forward to block that bastard. Someone shouted loudly, transitioning to the banquet hall of the Joshua family, where the knight Ashley was also pondering about Isaac, then silently praying, "I hope the young master is okay." As if to ease her worries, a servant brought in a light blue orb into the hall and introduced, "We have established a connection to the relic warehouse. The spirit beasts are following the candidate in third place. So we will provide information. The door to the relic warehouse has opened and the candidates are currently entering. The candidate currently in third place is ERMONAZ." Hearing this, Simon clenched his fists and shouted, "That's my son." Ignoring his attitude, the host continued to monitor the orb and announced, "In second place is Suri Joshua, and in first place is Isaac Joshua." Back to Isaac. His 2 legs and 2 arms were still flailing like a machine, rushing forward, causing the elder behind to run out of breath but still unable to catch up. He could only scream in despair, "Isaac, please. Not that way, don't. If you go in that direction, more traps will be activated." Just as his words fell, this old man stepped on a trap, causing him to be struck by a lightning bolt and charred black, just as the elder had mentioned while moving ahead, who activated so many incredibly dangerous traps that caused the kids to panic and run away like ducks. Over here, Suri watched Isaac's back as he dashed away and shouted that this crazy guy rushed in and caused all that chaos again. The challenge of the storage facility was already life-threatening. Now we also have to avoid the traps set for intruders. Returning to Isaac with his nimble speed, he quickly reached a door, and this was the door leading to the second storage facility. As he approached, he received a notification sound that the second storage facility had been activated, and he was entering the side door of the second storage facility. Seeing this, Suri's desperate voice echoed from behind. "Isaac, don't go in there." Ignoring these words, the chatterbox whisper also appeared and gave Isaac an admiring look. "Truly remarkable master, thanks to the amount of magic power he absorbed in the mansion. And I have been upgraded, great, now we can make you work harder." Who said cheerfully, "Now, let's go catch them all." He commanded, and the chatterbox whisper quickly complied. "Understood, my lord." Its body rushed back, while the kids over here still didn't know the danger approaching them, so they were sitting and resting, discussing, "I didn't expect it to be that difficult. This is why the saints are so strong." Just as the words ended, a brown-haired boy in the group noticed something unusual and pointed in one direction. "Isn't that the dumb kid Shu?" The other kids also turned their eyes in the indicated direction and discovered a strange sight. For some reason, Suri's body was floating in midair, and they couldn't help but be curious. Yes, it seems his name is Shu or something, but how can he fly like that? His family must have taught him beforehand. It's so unfair. Up ahead, our Suri could only sigh at the foolishness of these people. "No, you fools. They didn't teach that I'm floating and can't control it. Please put me down the more." Suri thought the more she felt that her luck had been plummeting recently after encountering countless misfortunes. Then the whisper swept Suri to Isaac's front and threw her down, then reported to the master, "I have caught the messenger down below." Suri also clenched her fists and shouted at Isaac to stop this madness right now. I don't know how. "But you have passed the first challenge of the Destiny storage, but from the second storage onward, just one mistake could kill you. You will have to face your fears and choose the difficult path to develop more sensitivity." Turning to Isaac, hearing this kid ramble made him itch in his ears, so CEO Uji shot a lightning bolt at him. "To temporarily silence this kid, you're too noisy." Forget it, explain what interesting things are in the storage. In response to this question, Suri weakly turned her head and explained that once inside the storage, you absolutely must not attack the enemy. It's very dangerous. Don't attack them. This reminder made Isaac unable to understand and asked back, "What nonsense are you talking about? Why can't I attack the enemy? That's the only way for us to get through the second storage. No matter what appears, just stand still for 3 minutes until they disappear. Say you understand, or else both of us will be doomed," Suri said with a pleading tone. However, Ajax still felt that this request was somewhat unreasonable. "It was too much like a test of patience. Are you teasing me?" he whispered in frustration as Suri began to cry and plead. "Some people have really died because of this." Looking at his miserable appearance, Ajax reluctantly agreed to this request. "Fine, it's easy, just needs 0 effort." "Is that right? Haha. 3 minutes is no problem at all." As he spoke, he quickly crawled towards the door and raised his small hand to touch the stone door. A mechanical sound immediately echoed in everyone's ears, welcoming them to the level of calmness. Patience is a virtue and a cold reason that keeps one calm and steadfast, unshaken. And your patience will lead you to the light. As this sound echoed, the heavy stone door slowly moved, revealing a dazzling ray of light behind it, and at this moment, in a different development. The kid Kina was also leading 3 other kids to sneak around. As they walked, the black-haired kid in the group expressed some concern and asked, "Are you sure you're okay? We're at the end, don't you know?" In response to this question, Kina just smiled wickedly and explained, "There is no reason for us to take the dangerous path ahead. These meat shields can do that for us. And did you forget? An 8th level demon is standing at the entrance to the second storage. Surely those in front will be stuck there. See, the challenge has already begun." As Kina spoke, he pointed forward, where a brilliant beam of light was emanating. After the door opened, a handsome guy with a very friendly demeanor stepped out from inside. He smiled at the group and spoke gently. "Don't be afraid, and your patience will lead you to the light." And if not, he wouldn't let this godlike figure speak for more than 3 seconds. Isaac immediately threw a powerful bolt of lightning at him. "What the hell is this?" he shouted. Behind him, the kid Suri witnessed this and was also startled bitterly, thinking back to the scene earlier, when Isaac swore that enduring 3 minutes would be no problem. However, now everything was unfolding in a completely opposite direction. Not to mention 3 minutes, even 3 seconds, Isaac couldn't bear it. Oh God, is he really insane? Suri cried out while Jack was still annoyed, cracking his knuckles. "How can we be patient when we've seen the face of a god?" Behind them, the Chetty Whisper also agreed, "I think 3 seconds is already too long." And then, because Isaac dared to attack the divine figure, that cold voice declared, "You have failed against those who cannot endure. Let the sacred punishment descend." As this voice echoed from inside the room, a giant wooden golem emerged. Its upper and lower body were connected by a glowing mineral, looking at its gigantic and terrifying appearance. Suri immediately lost all hope of survival. He knelt down on the ground, his whole body starting to tremble uncontrollably. "It's over, we're doomed." Unlike Suri's desperate appearance, Isaac, upon seeing the golem appear, gathered magical power into his arm. Then he thrust his small arm forward, releasing a column of destructive energy light. The beam shot straight ahead, piercing through the body of the giant golem, causing it to be sent to the recycling bin before it could even show its strength. Behind, Suri was dumbfounded. "What the hell is this?" The kid shouted in confusion, and next our protagonist curiously approached the golem to check it out. Not looking was one thing, but after seeing it, he was startled by its design. "Is this level 8? Are you kidding me? This is unreasonable. This golem was created by the magic of one of my subordinates, the elite demon of the Bone Demon Lord, the 14th High Demon. This is their unique magic. They are working like dogs for the family driving them away. Or could it be that there's something related to my body here? I need to check it out." Thinking of this, Isaac felt a strong urge to quickly investigate this matter. However, the kid Suri saw Isaac starting to move and asked, "Where are you going?" Before Isaac could answer, a nasty laugh came from behind. "Ha ha! I didn't expect the kids from the Joshua family to actually help me." Hearing this sound, both Isaac and Suri turned their eyes to the source of the voice and saw a red-haired kid leading a few others out from the bushes. "I told you the family knows how to overcome challenges. Thank you for defeating the gatekeeper for us. Now step aside, we will enter the second storage first. This kid is the 3rd son of the Duke's family." Jepet Nizer Shepet. A few other kids behind also started criticizing Suri. "You have no idea how hard we had to struggle. Because that little brat shouldn't have gone in first, it would trigger the traps." Isaac glanced at the number of kids here and was a bit surprised that so many people were still alive. He silently thought to himself, then Nizer pointed at Suri and said, "I didn't expect the kids from the Joshua clan to do something so wicked." "Suri, you are collaborating with him, aren't you?" This accusation made Suri's face go blank as he hurriedly retorted, "Me with him? How could that be? I said there isn't any collaboration. Didn't you hear that?" Ignoring Suri's words, the red-haired kid stepped in front of Isaac and said to the people around, "Did you see this kid dodge all the traps? Isn't that right? Do you think he could do it by himself?" Saying that, he noticed the ring that Isaac was wearing around his neck and exclaimed, "See, this is an artifact. This ring definitely contains something. Everyone look, with this, we can avoid all the traps ahead." Nizer excitedly showed off the ring to his companions, while little Suri felt a bit uneasy inside because he understood very well Isaac's vicious nature. So there was no way that mischievous kid would just let someone steal his belongings. He had misunderstood best. Isaac was still sitting still, making Suri feel anxious. He wasn't the type to let others take his stuff. While thinking, Suri turned to stare at Isaac, trying to guess what this kid was planning. Unbeknownst to his worries, the red-haired kid had now led the other group toward the door and ordered Suri to go behind, saying, "The people of the Joshua clan will bring back the corpse of the skeletal demon, something no one has ever done before. That will be me. Not anyone else, the 3rd son of the Cardinal Duke family," Nizer Capet said. Then he happily stepped through the door, but unfortunately, on his very first step, he triggered a trap that caused the stone slab beneath his feet to sink a few centimeters. Suddenly, a violent explosion occurred in the corridor, accompanied by countless screams and panic. What kind of trap is this? For Suri, he finally understood the reason why. Isaac was sitting still, allowing those people to steal the ring. It turned out he had used those kids as bait. Time quickly passed, and after waiting for the explosions inside the door to completely settle down, Suri had to carry Isaac into the second storage room. At this moment, all around were the bodies of countless kids. Lying scattered, it was unclear whether they were alive or dead. Looking at this scene, Isaac smiled smugly and silently praised the kids. We did a good job. All the mines here have been cleared all thanks to these kids. But why are those kids following me? Behind Isaac, there were also 3 clever kids who didn't rush into the storage like the others, so they managed to escape a fate. However, this made our main character a bit uncomfortable because he still needed to find his skeletal body, but these kids kept trailing behind, making it quite difficult to act. While Isaac was feeling annoyed with the kids, they were in awe of him. The black-haired child spoke up. That kid must have some divine sense or something. Behind him, the brown-haired child nodded in agreement. Perhaps because he came from a saintly family, he was acting strangely. That ring seems to be just an antique. Right, ha. What kind of family would do something so unprofessional? Hearing their admiring words, the chatty one whisper covered his mouth and chuckled, saying to Isaac, "It seems they have understood your greatness. Master, you are truly amazing." The laughter filled with teasing made Isaac grit his teeth. He didn't want them to acknowledge him. On the other hand, Suri saw the kids behind him praising Isaac. He silently prayed for them to run away before it was too late. These kids were even scarier than any demon. Thinking of the hardships he had endured, Suri's eyes brimmed with tears. Then behind him, a long-haired child stood up to introduce himself. "If there really is a saint, I think it would be someone like you. Nice to meet you, young master of the Joshua family. My name is Paris Julius, the second prince of the Julius kingdom." Hearing this, the kids around began to whisper to each other, "That's the kingdom located to the east of the Holy Healer. I heard the prince there has received the blessings of the divine." These whispers were clearly heard by Isaac, giving him a bit more knowledge about Paris's identity, and he praised the kids trailing behind. Wow. It is said that the prince there has received the blessing of the gods, and these whispers were clearly heard by Isaac, giving him a bit more knowledge about Paris's identity and praising the kids trailing behind. This name seems quite useful, setting aside that matter not long after Suri carried Isaac and walked towards another stone door. Upon reaching this stone door, Suri also stopped and spoke up. "Isaac, we have arrived. This is the door to the third storage." At the same time, just like what happened at the second storage, a sound began to echo, announcing to the group, welcoming the candidates. "This is the memory floor. Show your determination and courage." As this sound echoed, 2 golden spatial gates appeared in the air, and from within, 2 figures resembling angels stepped out. Although Suri felt a bit anxious, she managed to speak up. "Now we can proceed to the next storage." Seeing this, the children behind were excited, saying, "It's great that we are following him instead of Nizer. We will get the corpse of the skeletal demon without paying attention to these words." One of the 2 gatekeepers stated their requirement, a simple challenge: "Defeat us and seize the glory." This request made the children a bit worried. They said that showing courage means we have to fight them right. Let's see. Returning to Isaac's perspective, the appearance of the 2 strangers naturally caught his attention. With his keen observation, he quickly noticed something interesting. Could that gate be... Yes, it seems this will be quite entertaining. Thinking about what might happen next, Isaac couldn't help but smile slightly and extended his small hand to stop the children behind from advancing. This surprised Suri, but after recalling what Isaac had done since entering this treasure storage, the boy decided to trust the protagonist. Isaac's decisions are always right. The gatekeepers were lying. The first storage was about choices, and Isaac had dashed past it. The second storage was about calmness, and Isaac was not calm at all. And the third is about memories. It's a hint that we must remember what happened in the previous 2 challenges. We cannot attack them while on Suri's back. Isaac began to wave his hand, asking the children to step back. Seeing this, Suri could not hide her astonishment on her face. How strange. Did he choose the right answer this time? But no matter how wicked he is still a descendant of the Saintess. Could it be that the Saintess's kind nature has emerged? That's right. Perhaps all this time I misunderstood someone, Jack. He will sacrifice himself to guide everyone on the right path, Suri told himself. But just a second later, he regretted this thought immediately because right after that, Isaac had gathered a source of energy in his palm and threw it straight at the gatekeeper, causing him to take a full blast to the face. The unexpected strike left both Suri and the gatekeeper stunned. "You chose wrong." The angry voice of the gatekeeper rang out, and then he gripped his staff tightly, swinging it down to create a powerful fireball. Violent explosions began to erupt in the corridor, causing the children below to scream for their fathers and mothers in despair, while Suri looked at Isaac's fierce face and vaguely guessed his intention to use the gatekeeper to eliminate the other candidates. What is this? Could it be that he had planned this beforehand? Truly insane. Turning back to the protagonist's perspective, just a glance was enough for Isaac to see through the facade of the 2 gatekeepers. It had been a long time since he had seen these. They were deceitful puppets created by the magic of 14 high demons. Let those kids see how cruel life can be. The more he thought, the more Isaac couldn't help but burst into laughter, while Suri could only sigh deeply, not understanding why he had earlier thought that Isaac had turned over a new leaf. Where did they go? They were just here a moment ago. The kids spoke while scanning their surroundings, but the dust from the explosion made their eyes sting and blur their vision. In reality, even if they weren't blinded by the dust, this group wouldn't be able to see anything, because at this moment Isaac had used the 6th level holy spell, Invisibility, to conceal his presence along with the driver. Suri had granted him this spell to use in emergencies. It was indeed a perfect time to use it. While thinking, Riley chuckled and let out a few eerie sounds, causing Suri, who was carrying him, to tremble a bit. Meanwhile, Prince Paris took a step forward and expressed his gratitude, thanking Isaac for casting the holy spell on him as well. In response to this, Isaac turned and waved his hand dismissively, saying to take this. He then tossed his Saintess ring to Paris, making him so moved that he shed tears. What is this? Jack threw his holy ring to him, which moved Paris to the point of tears. What is this? This is the ring. Why did you give me this, since I'm not used to fighting against demons? Thank you so much. I won't forget this kindness. I will convey the message to Father. The holy power on Paris suddenly got absorbed into this holy maiden ring, and its suction power is truly terrifying. In just 1 second, this prince friend of mine was sucked dry, his cheeks hollowed out, causing Suri to panic and scream, while the chatty whisperer laughed joyfully and praised Isaac. Indeed, my master, haha, the strongest holy power always belongs to the prince. The main character cheerfully said his eerie laughter made Suri a bit worried about the future of her family. What kind of monster have you brought to your family? Time quickly passed after all these kids are the heirs of the major families, so they soon calmed down and coordinated. They responded to the attacks from the two guards at the door by focusing together. Is there anyone who can use holy power for protection? I will use holy power for protection first. The brown-haired boy spoke. Then you stand behind me. The black-haired boy replied. At that moment, a demon at the door also directed its dangerous gaze towards both of them. Accept your defeat. With that statement, it rushed forward to deal with both of them. But this was exactly what the kids wanted, so they quickly attacked when the black-haired boy shouted. The blonde boy understood and quickly rushed forward, ready to catch the words that hadn't fully left his mouth. Suddenly, the brilliant yellow energy sphere in his hand shrank and disappeared. Next, the brown-haired boy fell to the ground, causing the black-haired boy in front to panic and turn back, asking what was happening. The confused boy spoke without noticing that a ring was creeping up right next to him. And then 2 seconds later, all of his holy power was drained, just like his friend. The strange scene unfolding before them confused the gate demon as well. It stopped its attack and looked around, wondering if someone else had believed our lies. Ignoring its words, Isaac, in a stealth state, quietly retracted his ring, while the chatty whisperer happily reported that the ring had absorbed all the holy power of those kids. Then go that way, Isaac issued the command. Yes, as you wish. Following Isaac's wicked request, the chatty whisperer brought the ring to the kids who were still energetically fighting and absorbed all their holy power. While doing something bad, the whisperer also felt a bit sorry for the kids, saying, "Don't feel unfair, little ones. The enemy has been neutralized. It's better than being injured." After finishing, the whisperer turned back and said, "Master is almost done." Before he could finish, the whisperer suddenly sensed a very strong holy power fluctuation. This fluctuation was from an energy sphere not far away, making the whisperer wonder what it was. Then right after that, the energy sphere rushed forward, striking the gate demon, causing it to scream in pain while the whisperer himself was thrown far away by its shockwave. And you who launched this attack is the calm boy, Kina, who even somehow noticed Isaac and Suri in stealth mode. Found you, he said. Isaac Joshua's appearance also made our main character feel a bit uncomfortable, wondering where he had disappeared to. But finally, he has appeared. Unlike Isaac's calm demeanor, Suri was a bit frightened by the power that Kina was displaying. Oh my, I know he's a genius, but this is a bit too much. Summoning a holy spirit at that age is indeed too powerful. But from his gaze, there was a giant bird behind Kina that looked like a hawk. Kina continued, "You surprised me. We didn't think anyone here could defeat the demon race besides us. Or are you setting a trap for the other kids like in the first trial?" If that's the case, before the brat could finish his sentence, the brown-haired boy who had just been drained of holy power stood up to refute that kid tried to pass the trial for us. He even pointed out the direction we should go. He's our benefactor. Both spoke up in defense of Isaac. Whisper, even if he wanted to hold back laughter, couldn't. "That's what the world calls a spirit of submission," he said, while glancing with disdain, while Isaac could only shake his head at the situation. "Those kids are really crazy." Returning to Suri's perspective regarding the previous words of the two kids he mocked, "Benefactor, huh? Those kids are truly crazy." Returning to Suri's perspective on the previous words of the two little ones, he spoke up mockingly. "A benefactor, huh? Do you not feel ashamed to call yourselves candidates for sainthood? I never expected you would need the help of such a child." In response to this remark, the black-haired boy widened his eyes and questioned why he had been hiding behind the whole way. "Yet now, you speak such grand words. While we were looking for traps, you did nothing at all." His words began to resonate with the other children who stared intently at Kina's group. And with an angry expression, he said, "He is right. Isaac is even more saintly than him. He has avoided all the troubles, even when living here. We will tell our parents everything. You did nothing at all. Everything was thanks to Ajax. We will tell our parents that following the Joshua family is the wise path. Without them, we would have been in big trouble." The praise kept ringing out, causing the protagonist's face to break into a very satisfied smile, while only Suri was fully aware of the situation and screamed a few times in her head. "That's not true, kids. This wicked child is taking advantage of you." Just like that. While the kids were criticizing the group, suddenly the ground shook violently, interrupting their conversation, and next a gigantic ball of light emerged from beneath the earth, along with a stone door rising up. Seeing this, the kids all turned their eyes towards the door and spoke up. "Is that the door to the third storage?" "I think so." "Does that mean the second challenge has been completed?" "It seems so." Then, without letting the kids ponder for long, the golden ball emitted a congratulatory sound for the candidates who had passed the second challenge. We are the final guardians. Protecting this storage, now choose. Will you choose your treasure and end the challenge here? Or will you face the challenge to move on to the third storage? Choose wisely. If you pass the challenge, you will find the treasure of the third storage, but if not, you will die. Its words startled all the children, making them hesitate to think wildly anymore. As for Whisper, through his sensing ability, he also discovered something that reminded the protagonist. Master, based on the amount of mana I sensed from that voice, it replied, "Yes, Jack." Nodding, "That is a dragon."